to that. It's the Bennington show. Chris played Roseanne because we are in the process of doing an unmasked right now. So we taped this unmasked, and we wanted to play the Roseanne bar since after 20 years, she's America's it girl again.
She is. What was old is new once again.
Mm-hmm. What was old was new. What was Gentile was Jew. But yeah, she has taken the country back by storm in the Trump America, as people are stating it. And it's the kind of people who, the reason why they voted for Trump. I don't know whether you guys saw that thing the other day, but the South Park guys were getting an award from Norman Lear. And they said, this is great because we're Republicans. We've always been Republicans. And that's why they won't attack Trump at all. They don't do Trump jokes on South Park.
They don't do Trump jokes on South Park?
They've said they're not going to touch it because it's
what they believe in. It would be like them for Chris. Well, for a Christian, it would be like doing Jesus jokes. Or for Chris, it would be like doing a joke about cocaine and salami.
Yeah,
you know,
stuff you love.
I've never heard those two things.
No, and then I snow capped it, Had a quick joint.
Salami?
Yeah. I get my salami and some Coke and I snow capped it. It was fantastic. So we wanted to play. I don't remember how long ago this was. This is before you started.
It was, yes. I believe I am an audience member. But I was not yet part of the Bennington show or at Sirius XM.
That's in quotes. Put those in quotes because they're real things. When you put it in quotes, like I would be like this: like Chris is getting smarter and he's starting to lose weight.
Wish those two things could happen.
I want to just say something and mean it. Yeah. I know Chris is too young for me, but I still want to marry him.
Aww.
I'm fine. I like it.
You're like Melania.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, wait. You're like melanoma. I get those things confused.
2012.
2012. So that was 22 years ago.
I was just a baby then.
So this was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything was naturally happening for her at this time. There wasn't any reason she was doing this, right?
I think she had a book out.
Okay. Well, what I mean is like she didn't have any big comedy project.
No.
Because she started as a stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the sitcom hit, I believe there was very little stand-up after that. But she became a, TV and movie star. She was a film actor of television and movies. No theater whatsoever. I refuse to do the boards. I always say this. I go, I'm not going to go over there and do a show for 2 busloads of grandmas from New Jersey's. Not when I can sit there and be on the silver screen. The Titans Slick, Errol Flynn, Humphrey Bogart, and Vin Diesel. Think Vin will be remembered that way?
I think so. He's the most followed man on Facebook.
No, I can't imagine that to be.
Is that true?
He definitely was for a long time. He had like 50 million followers, Vin Diesel.
We know what we're talking about, Vin Diesel.
Well, everyone knows it's fucking
Oh my God, that's like
Diesel.
that backward talk that you always hear New Yorkers do.
Yeah.
Man, when I moved here, it was like so strange. Like somebody would be like, did he come, the pizza guy? And you're like, I'm sorry, like we were talking about the pizza guy. It's totally fine to just be like, is he here? Or everything was backwards.
My mother talks that way. My mother will say, the leaves look nice this year. And then when we tease her about it, she goes, you know exactly what I'm saying. Exactly. No one is ever confused about what I'm saying. Like, easy. Easy, man. We're all just having a little fun.
It's just jokes, man. We're just kidding around. A couple of buddies.
I was just playing with you. I'm not a toy that you can play with. Okay. All right, then I guess I'm going to pack up and go. All right, I guess the weekend's over. All right, so this is Roseanne, and little did we know that if you think back about it, this was midway through the Obama years. I think Roseanne might have run for president and gotten,
Yeah, she did have some political thing. She also did have a reality show as well, so I can't remember what years
I think that was like her on her. What kind of nut does she make? It's the
macadamia nut.
Macadamia nut in Hawaii. She had a macadamia farm, and I remember hearing about it. Then I saw it. I'm like, well, I thought this would have been. It was pretty rustic, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be a little more elegant, but that Hawaii can be rough living.
It can be, yeah. Jungle life.
Jungle life, living it up. Here's another macadamia. So you played Rosanna by Toto just because we had Roseanne on today.
Yeah.
First of all, it's not even the same fucking name.
No,
it's
you
close
added
enough,
an
guys.
A.
Come on.
Get there.
There's no song called just Roseanne.
You say close enough. Are you saying Chris and Christ are very close to each other? Because the answer is no.
Christ is inside Christopher.
Oh my God.
Mm.
That's blasphemy.
How dare you, sir?
Easter roll. So we're going to play this.
Yes.
We'll be back. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, we'll be back. Get it?
Such a good impression.
Yeah. Well, I had written this sketch I thought was good. And it was going to be Mozart is in the sketch and Bach. And then he was going to go, I'll be Bach. And
good. It's really good.
It died at the table. If I'm going to be
bullshit.
If I'm going to be honest, it died at the table. And I used to say this all the time. I go, when it doesn't work at the table, I'm going to work in front of that audience. And normally everybody follows me into that. You know what I mean? I go, I don't want a great table read. Okay? All right. So this is Roseanne Bar Arnold. Remember when we used to have to say that for a while? I hated it. Roseanne Barr, America's sweetheart, America's it girl, America's beam of conservative light that's taking us to the next thing. We're all going to MAGA together. And then we'll be back after this with some live show, including some big comedians. Who, Chris?
Joe Mackey and Sam Morril.
I hope that happens because we're recording this in the past.
I hope I don't fuck myself right now.
So here I am in the past, going further into the past with Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr, everybody, let her hear it. There you go. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And welcome. You're here because coming up a little bit, you're going to be the celebrity roast.
Yeah. I'm going to be roasted on Comedy Central on August 5th or something like that.
Why does anybody do that to themselves? Why does it just seems like
money.
So no matter what anyone's saying, you're just thinking ka-ching.
No, actually, it's because it's a chance to get some good jokes out there.
Sure,
like writing jokes, and I have writers that I'm bringing to the process. That I'm always proud to discover writers, and this would be a blast. They're letting me, choose the people who I want to have, and they're talking about classing up their roast thing.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Actually, it is going to be a lot classier because there's not going to be any, if anybody knows my work, I don't like a certain kind of humor.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to try to do something new and different.
So this will be a completely different roast than we've ever seen.
Well, it'll have jokes, so it won't be that. But
it'll be just people being really nice to Roseanne.
No, they're going to take my head off, of course. But,
right.
Of course, I only invited people who can take the retort.
Right, sure.
And there aren't a lot of them.
No, but, when, Chevy did that, he didn't even know who the people were who were going to be roasting him. And he didn't take it all that well.
I didn't see it. I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
But I saw the ones that are like, oh my God, I can't believe this. But, I hope it's witty and intelligent. Because that's going to be the new kind of thing that I'm going to be hoping to bring.
All right, good. So, and actually, that is when we think of you. It's witty and
intelligent.
Yeah, witty and intelligent.
Why, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now, you were running for the Green Party on a nomination, and now you didn't get that, but I understand you're on the short list for VP, they said.
No, that's all over.
That's
completely
all done.
over, yeah. I'm out of the Green Party.
So you're done with it completely?
Completely, yeah. Till 2016 when I run again, and all of their corrupt people are replaced.
Everybody will be out of the Green Party.
Hopefully so, yeah. If my voodoo hex works.
I don't know whether we've ever had anyone run on voodoo hex. I think it's a great idea.
It's an effective way of controlling the masses.
You were actually into politics, I think, before you were into comedy, right? You were as a young person.
Yeah. My family was a very political family, always, and we lived in Salt Lake City, Utah. So it was double threat there. No, more like triple, probably maybe quadruple threat there. A fat Jewish woman who was intelligent and spoke out. Quadruple threat, I think. But we were always very political. Had to be. My parents were, first generation born Americans, and the rest of them came over from one horror perpetrated on the Jews or another. And so we were very political because our family always was.
But Jews in Salt Lake City, you had to figure, like, what the hell are we doing here?
I often wondered that. What are we doing here exactly? But there was a small Jewish community there, about 50 families, and my family supplied the kosher meat. They were kosher butchers in Salt Lake. So we hung out with merchant class of people, a lot of Greeks and ethnic people who sold things to,
And so politics mattered to you a lot, and you were kind of a feminist.
I wasn't kind of.
You were 100%. Yeah. Well, I think it was all still being put together at that time, right?
No, I was always like this. My mother said that when I was born, I was like this. I was. They had to put me in my mother tells a story. A little straitjacket at 3 hours old because I just wouldn't shut up. And I was attempting to stuff my whole fist into my mouth and didn't get enough food. Everything that I still have.
Just moment one.
My mom said,
Roseanne.
always fighting, always doing that. But like I say, my dad and grandfather were like that too.
So you're a little kid, you're looking out for injustice, and this is before you have figured out that you could use humor in it, right?
Well, my family was real funny because they were all kind of I can't remember the word, but damn, I hate when I can't remember words, but iconoclastic, that's the word. And so everything was funny, and we liked to, my parents and grandparents and uncles and everybody liked to make fun of other people. And it was just a blast for the way they looked, thought, the way they walked. We were always just watching and saying horrible things and laughing at people.
It was tough to walk past the house. Everybody would be on.
Well, I had a lot of people in my family that by the time I was 3, I was already making fun of them and getting laughs. And that was very important to me. I had a couple of uncles. One of them was real arrogant. He still is very arrogant, but he's more human now. But then he was very rude to my grandmother, who I loved. I thought she was the greatest person on earth, and I still do think that, but both my grandmas. But he would make fun of her because she had a real thick Lithuanian accent, and he always would call her an immigrant and a greenhorn and say she used too much chicken fat in her soup. But he was really obese, and he used to come over there for lunch every day, and he'd eat 3 bowls of it. His name was Sherman, Uncle Sherman, and he'd say, "So I see you're not losing any of your greenhorn ways with using so much schmaltz in the chicken soup." And hasn't anyone told you in America they blah blah? So I'd be 3 and I'd go but how come you eat 3 bowls of it? And everyone would laugh, and he'd get pissed.
Sure.
He'd look down, act like he didn't, and then of course they children should be seen and not heard and all those kind of things.
But it's a strange power when you're little and you start knowing that you can get to laugh.
Yeah, and then I started to perform on Friday nights for, our Sabbath is Friday night, and I would start performing in my grandma's living room. She had this great big windowsill, and I had tap shoes and the whole thing. And everyone convinced me and my family, if anyone's read my book, Roseanne, this story's in there, but they lied to me really badly in my family, and they told me that I was better than and cuter than Shirley Temple, and I believed it.
Sure.
And so I, began my act at that young age.
So you're tap dancing and you're singing, you're thinking
tap
you're great,
dancing,
and the rest of the family's just giggling to themselves.
Well, they're applauding huge, because they're fucking liars, and they're like, that was great. And later I saw that it was just a psychopathic way of setting me up for future disappointment.
Right, because you had nothing else to judge by. I mean,
but I live for my shows, like even being 3, I'd be like, next week I'm going to add this. And every summer, or all the time at school, I'd always try out for all the talent shows too, and it was pretty heartbreaking because I'd always be turned down, and I just couldn't accept it. I just couldn't believe, and I became an anti-Mormon activist because I felt that they were just too fucking stupid to even know the kind of talent that was in front of them, and it made me hate them.
Right.
But it was always disappointing.
Sure.
So I was like, it's like, and also my grandma and mom, they were the only women who ever said I was pretty too, and of course later I was angry about that too. They told me I was gorgeous and stunning, and then you go out in the real world and, it's quite a wake-up call and a disappointment, which whenever I hear people doing that to their kids, I just want to walk over and just smack the shit out of them.
Right.
Do you have any idea what you're setting that kid up with those lies? That kid isn't cute. You should tell them that. They're not cute, they're not smart, and they have no talent. You're doing them a favor.
Maybe you could judge children's shows and just sit there and...
I'm still bitter about it, I have to say. I'm still really bitter. And then my cousin Debbie, which this is in my book too, Debbie, she was like the most gorgeous girl in our whole Jewish community, and every guy loved her because she didn't look Jewish. And she had blonde hair and blue eyes, and that, like, if you're a Jewish girl and you had blonde hair, blue eyes, and a big butt and a waist, forget it.
Right.
You were like Miss America.
Yeah.
And she was like that, and she couldn't act worth a shit. But she, of course, got the Dr. Ross dog food commercial, and I seethed. And it was on TV at Passover. We'd come over for Passover, and they'd let us turn on the TV, although you're not supposed to watch TV after sundown, blah, blah, Jewish stuff. But they let us turn it on because Debbie's Dr. Russ dog food commercial came on at 7:15. I was like 8 years old. I still remember everything. And I was just livid.
Yeah. And that set it in where you say, someday I'm going to beat Debbie at her own game.
Yes, I said, I'll show her. I'll show her.
Yeah. So
that's why I made the deal with Satan in my book, that I signed a deal with Satan in order to, show Debbie up, because I knew I needed extra firepower.
Yeah. Call in the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
And boom.
Yep.
Certainly worth it. And
it isn't worth it, actually. That's kind of the message of the book. Yeah, when I realized that my 12-year-old pact with Satan had come due, the day after I sang the Star Spangled Banner, I realized it had not been worth it. And then I set about trying to liberate my soul from the dark forces of hell.
Well, when you left Utah, you went to Colorado. Before really the rest of the country understood Colorado, kind of a pre-John Denver
time.
It
was right around the same time as John Denver.
Yeah.
That song, Colorado, his big Colorado, Rocky Mountain High, that one. That was a big hit that same year that I moved there.
And before that, no one knew about Colorado, and after that became a giant vacation place. And John Denver, kind of not all that well liked by the people who were keeping it a fun secret all those years.
Oh, yeah. We loved him, though. Yeah. No, we did love him a lot.
Yeah. But he was the one that opened the door for that whole... When you were there, still pretty Western, right?
Pretty Western. I was from Utah, so it was kind of a little bit more of a metropolitan center.
Kind of a step up
I was
for you.
Used to, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but you started doing comedy there in Colorado.
I started when I was 28.
Was that a tough thing to go up on stage? Because it's one thing to be funny with your friends for a long time and funny around your family, but to take it in front of strangers, it's a different step.
Well, I had already worked in retail for a while, so, I knew how to, deal with the public. And
right.
Also, I was a cocktail waitress, and, you kind of get your lines and do your slams. And so I had a little bit of background there. And all my customers, when I was a waitress, laughed at my jokes. So I had a little bit of stage time.
Right. So
before I went there.
Yeah, it felt comfortable to you because you had pretty quick acceptance on stage, don't you think?
Well, I did the first time I went on. It was like, oh, my God, it was a dream come true because I was doing really edgy material. And everyone loved it, and I was like, "Man, I got my Eddie Murphy one-way ticket."
Right.
And then the second week I came, they hated it. So it was like all the things you have to learn about stand-up, and it takes a long time to learn. And so then I had to begin the process of rewriting the whole act and realizing, it isn't going to work for mainstream America. Unless I rewrite it and get a whole new thing, which I did, and that took me about 5 years.
5 years, which most people, don't know that it takes that long, and that's faster than a lot of people.
It is faster than a lot of people, yeah.
Because it's very tough to know who you are up on stage. But I think starting a little later was probably even more helpful because a lot of guys, they'll go up when they're 17, 18, and they still don't know too much about life.
A lot of them do, though.
Yeah.
Chris Rock and Sarah Silverman, a lot of people started in their teens and knew who they were right away. It's like just this thing that takes hold of you, and, it's like the real you, and and the other you is just in the shadow of it.
Just waiting to get up on stage.
Yeah.
Why? So you're hitting it there in Colorado, but L.A. was kind of calm for you. People wanted you to come to L.A., right? Different comics.
Yeah, a lot of comics said you should come out and try it. And, of course, that was what I was perfecting or trying to get my, real clean 40 minutes so that I could do television when I did go to Los Angeles. And, getting clean material, man, that takes forever.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And yet it's probably less important now than it was then because you don't really have a Johnny Carson that can launch your career now. I mean, a lot of these kids that come up now, they'll make it on YouTube or, one of the cable things first. But you were always thinking, I got to be able to do this.
Well, I always wanted to do a sitcom.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be on TV and, because I hated TV so fucking bad. Right. And I just like, man, I was one of those people, man, if I ever got my own show on there, here's what I'd say and do. And, so that I really started to believe it was a possibility about 2 years into stand-up. And a lot of people encouraged me to come out to Los Angeles, and it was one of those dreams come true kind of nights that my first night in Los Angeles, I scored The Tonight Show.
It's just insane. It's just crazy to think about that.
My first night on stage there.
I mean, it's tough enough just to get stage time.
Yeah.
And, you have to impress. In your case, it was Mitzi, right?
Yeah. But George Slaughter had a talent scout in the audience there, and he was doing a show called Funny Women of Comedy or something like that. And they liked me, and it was a big talent scout night, and I was thrilled with the George Slaughter and what taped, and that was on television. And during I can't remember how it went, but anyway, I ended up on The Tonight Show. A guy came up and handed me his card, and of course you know all the names when you're a comic. This guy came up and he said, "Oh, Roseanne, I I really love you. And, I said, oh, thanks, move. That's how I, am. And then he gave me his card, and I was with my sister, and I still remember. You look at letters, and they just start like, and it was Jim McCauley from The Tonight Show. He said, I'm going to put you on Friday. I was like, oh, my God. It was so overwhelming at the time for a comic. And I just ran screaming down Sunset Boulevard, screaming, with my sister crying, screaming, oh, my God, and stuff like that. And Mitzi came out and saw us running down the street, and she called us the Gabors. But, yeah.
But that's amazing because most people,
my first night on the Tonight Show too was I was on with Julio Iglesias, who hired me that night for an 18-week tour.
Wow! And
I was lined up in that one night to make more money than my husband had for 2 years.
Yeah.
In 2 years, so it was like, oh my God, I'm totally on my way. I'm going to strap my seatbelt on and go.
Yeah.
I was 34.
And those things don't kind of exist, too, the kind of overnight thing, because the Tonight Show or whatever doesn't have as much viewership as it used to in those
things
days.
are more spread out now.
Yeah, it's all spread out. But Macaulay normally would take people and say, we're going to look at you 4 or 5 times, not come in here on Friday, and we'll put you on.
I know.
What was the tension like as you're backstage? You've worked for this forever, and you're going to walk out in front of Johnny Carson, who...
It was just overwhelming. I was just... I reconnected with my Orthodox Jewish roots that night for sure. I was praying like a son of a gun, and I was trying to stand up. It was so terrifying, and I never really had done much in my life then, beside be a wife and mom, and a Utah, a little bit of writing, but. Utah, Colorado. I hadn't really gone anywhere. I never had even been to New York or anything, or really Los Angeles. So it was, just going into a whole new world that I was not in any way prepared for.
And the weirdest thing about it is, like, that the country hadn't seen anybody like you before. So almost immediately, people started to know who you were.
Yeah.
It was almost overnight where, oh yeah, that's Roseanne. Where a lot of comics, they do, 20, 30 shots and don't get that kind of name recognition.
Yeah, and then I got a Pizza Hut commercial too, and that became huge, and we won a Clio, and, then I became Mrs. Ralph's Supermarket. And I had a number of commercials in California for being the Ralph's lady. And, I just never looked back. It was, up to the point where I got the sitcom, it just seemed like, whew, it's just a whirlwind of positive things.
And did it feel easy, or did it feel like you were just hitting everything the way you were supposed to, that all the work that you had done up to that point was paying off?
Yeah, it felt like I had done everything right, and that I had been smart and on the money. That's how it felt at first. Yeah.
Thank you, Satan. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then the sitcom, of course, came together. Really, one of those shows that America had never seen anything like it before. You had great people in your cast. I mean, when you look back at the people at that cast, it was just amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah. It was just phenomenal.
Fun every day.
Yeah. And one of those shows, like the first night it comes out, 20 plus million people are watching it. It's just a giant hit.
40 million.
40 million.
Yeah.
40 million.
40 million a week.
We don't even have numbers.
No, because we have 900 channels now.
Yeah, right.
But we only have 4 then, so they didn't have much, they didn't have like porn.
Right. You weren't competing against porn.
Not like it is now. Not like now. Yeah.
Not like, but that's amazing. 40 million. I don't even remember that it was that large.
Between 32 and 40 million a week. It blows
and
my mind.
out of the gate like that.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
I had really good management too, and I had good publicists, and I had lined up a dream team right from the start, largely because of Johnny Carson and Jim McCauley. They really pointed me in so many of the right directions and introduced me to the right people who made those things happen for me, and Julio too. I started at the top.
Yeah, that is phenomenal that they decided we're going to look out for you.
Yeah, Johnny Carson especially. I couldn't believe the help and direction and encouragement. And man, that guy, he was so great to so many of us comics.
It's funny because like when you read stuff about him now, they say aloof or he was cold once he was off stage, but you don't find that.
Not to the comics.
Yeah, he felt comfortable.
Yeah.
With the people that he really liked.
He was a comic, like he was a comics comic, and we miss him real bad now because boy, we used to watch that Johnny Carson monologue to know how to vote and how to think and what to say. Mm-hmm. He sadly missed. I feel like all the time I say, and Bill Maher's another one who loves Johnny, and we say to each other all the time, like, if Johnny was here right now, we never would have gone into Iraq. I mean, seriously, he never would have allowed
he had that kind of
viewers to make those kind of bad decisions.
Well, the other thing that he did that was so cool for comics is he could set them up. And
he set you up so good.
And Newhart was saying, like, he literally knew his pacing down. It was like music that he would just set them up perfectly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times now you see a lot of people competing when they get in these things rather than, let the other person score.
Yeah. I'm going to do Jimmy Fallon later today, this afternoon. I've never been on his show, but, I kind of know him a little bit. And I think I think he's got great potential for doing that kind of America's best friend who tells him the truth kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, so I'm excited to do it.
I like him too. He came in and did this show once, and he's just the sweetest person.
Yeah, he's a for real guy.
And loves doing this, you know, where a lot of people seem to be, haunted by it.
Yeah.
He's like, this is great. I can't wait. Yeah. A lot of people are like, oh, Jesus, I don't know. Here I am, a star. And they're just struggling with it the whole time.
Well, that's because they don't have any good material. I think it is that.
So when the Roseanne show took off like that, so big, you really did feel like you were ready for it at first.
In a lot of ways, in my, my imagination. I mean, and as it turned out, there was no way that I was ready for it. The reality, there was no way that anyone's ready for it at all, no matter what you say, till you live through it. And most don't live through it. I say that because it's true.
Right.
Most people who go to, that level of whatever you call it, fame or notoriety and isolation is really what it is. They don't come out of it.
Well, I mean, it's like being in the Beatles, right? I mean, it's one of those things where nobody really knows what it's like to be that well known.
Yeah, I certainly didn't.
Yeah. And what made you start isolating? Just the fact that everybody
Well, one time coming out of the hotel and like being me and like, I can't explain it too well, but seeing people rush at you from every direction, like hundreds, it scares you real bad.
Sure.
And so then you have to hire a front line, and so then you start getting a big barrier between you and the people that you used to talk to that helped you remember what the joke's supposed to be about.
Yeah.
So it's like just getting more and more isolated into just real self-centered world, but by necessity.
And that becomes that Elvis thing where you kind of, now you're no longer able to observe the world and interact with the world.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
That was your material.
Yeah.
Your material was being a regular person.
Right. It was like a real, getting sucked down the rabbit hole thing.
Yeah.
But, I came out of it pretty much. I later, I did that for a long time. And then, there was a point where I just, man, this shit's for the birds. I can't, I got to raise my kid, and I don't want him around drug addicts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I moved, and that was, my kid's going to be 17 now. So I moved away, and I kept it at arm's length to a minimum. And eventually I moved back to a regular human neighborhood with neighbors and people, and wave at people when you're driving by, and and I prefer that.
Stopped having a staff and people around.
Yeah, I took a big step back because I just, I'd had enough, and I always try to put my toe back in and test it every now and then, and sometimes it's a good experience.
Well, you had brought up earlier the national anthem thing, and
that was the big watershed.
Yeah, right. And it's one of those things now, like when you look back at it, it's hard to believe it got as big as it did. But
yeah, it wasn't a televised baseball game.
Yeah.
And it was Working Woman's Night, so I was America's most famous working woman, and the guy who owned the Roseanne show owned the Padres.
Right.
So it was a regular hookup thing. And, the night before I did it, man, I want to say from my Shirley Temple days of, being one of the greatest singers that ever lived. I thought, no, but I could sing good. I could sing well, and I had practiced for a long time to sing it. The night before I sang it, I went on Johnny Carson again, and Johnny says, now you be careful not to start too high, because then he named Robert Goulet, who had started too high and screwed it up, and everyone hated him and all that.
Sure.
So, of course, I started too high. And like about 6 notes into it, I was like, can I stop and start again? But I knew I couldn't. So I knew there's no way I'm going to make those high notes. So I just thought, what the hell? I'm a comic, and I'm going to make it funny, because I have like way overshot my wad here on the starting too high thing. And it was going from being a beloved person to a despised and hated person literally overnight. And by the time I got home from the baseball thing, I was on a private jet owned by the Padres, and as I boarded the jet, they said, don't worry about a thing, we've got your back. And by the time I landed, they said, we have no idea how she got on the field. We have no idea how she did. She got past all our guards. We tried to stop her. But and there was this guy on the news, the newscaster, and here's what he said. I turn on the news. I'm like, I wonder if anybody has. And let's see. And the guy goes, she's lucky she got off that field with her life. And I was like, oh my God. And that started it. The death threats and the stuff that I got. And then I was like, I got to get that fuck out of here.
Right. Well, it's almost.
I hired LAPD to stand on top of my house with assault rifles for weeks.
Wow.
At the threats that a free and brave nation made at me and I also apologized as best as I could, to make sense. And people still, 25 years later.
Well, it's strange. I've done announcements from those games, and because the echo comes back at you, it's tough to even sit there and talk. So singing that thing, and we run into a lot of people get in trouble for it now. Yeah. They'll forget a word or whatever. And it's almost like a national pastime to get pissed off. Yeah. About it is a national pastime to get irate at entertainers rather than politicians. That's a no-no. Right. You don't get irate at them ever. In fact, you don't even, you're not even to be aware of what they're doing. Mm. You're too busy talking about Kim Kardashian's ass and other celebrities. Yeah. But it's just, it was just terrifying and awful. But, it ends up to be a good thing, because I did reconfigure my life after that and question those things that I assumed I wanted. All that kind of stuff like you do. And now, I just really miss comedy. I do a few dates every year. Mm-hmm. I
I handpick them, you know. But that's why I'm kind of very excited about doing the roast and Jimmy Fallon, these other shows that I'm doing. More than my career or anything, I'm a fan of jokes.
Right.
I just love the construction of jokes. I love the premise. I love the thought that goes into them. Hearing other people tell them. I'm a real joke lover. So, you know, that's why I look forward to the roast, because it's a way for me to get back and get my jokes out there. Because I write a lot of jokes. I write every day, and I have some really. I think I have some really funny ones.
Well, and you also have like a natural cadence for humor. I mean, as you're sitting here, just telling stories, you know, they're funny, whether you set them out to be that way or not. I mean,
I'm really high.
Yeah, well.
But, no.
That always
thanks,
helps.
Though. No,
yeah.
Thanks.
No.
Thanks. Yeah, you get used to it. I've been a comic for 30 years.
Right. So, it's all but you can do to turn it off now. But to go back and start and do it this way, because you'd like to go back out on the road, or
hell no.
Not as much as, yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
No, I was really lucky that I didn't have to do that. I did like 4 jobs on the road when I was in Denver. I went on the road with Sinbad, you know.
Sure.
Sinbad and me, we went to do a couple of dates together, co-headlining dates for $500 each a week, and that was just it. I couldn't worry about leaving. I have 3 kids at home, and you just like get out there and worry about it. And I did work in this one club in Kansas City. This was Sinbad and me, and we were just dead broke, and so we tried to get them to give us $20 for advance so we could eat, and they wouldn't. And they told us we could have the bread and soup. So I was like, I'm not going to fucking do this.
Right.
So then I really got serious about it. I'm going to write clean jokes, because that's when I used to be a dirty comedian. I used to pack them in Colorado, because I was like, all filth.
Right.
But then I was like, okay, I'm going to get a clean act and get on TV and really do this. You know, that it's harder to write clean jokes than dirty jokes.
So where do you say you want to get back into it, but just somewhat, some TV?
Twice a year. Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
TV, I'm looking for TV is so weird for me, but I'm looking for the ideal job, which is 8 to 10 weeks a year. Mm-hmm. And, people, they're always offering, they offer me these things, but then when you look at it, it's like all show business, half of the shit's hidden. Mm-hmm. So then it's like an extra 14 weeks to promote the 10 weeks. And,
right.
I just want a job that's 10 weeks long, like my ideal job, like they do in the UK. They give comics 6 shows a year.
Right.
You could really put your heart and soul into 6 episodes, and you could write it, direct it, be in everything you want, and they just still won't do that here. I wish they would.
No, here we want to get to syndication.
Yeah, right. They're like, no, you got to do 22. Well, I'm like, well, fuck, I'm 60 fucking years old. I can't do it.
Right. Because people don't realize when you did Roseanne, it was basically your whole life, right?
It was my whole life.
Yeah.
I was in a concrete box with no windows for a decade. Mm-hmm. But that was so much like being a housewife. I hardly noticed the difference. But at least I had windows when I was a housewife. But it was just all like, it was 24/7, 18 hours a day, and you're thinking all the time about all the things you think about. But I just want to say how much I loved it. Every day was a blast.
And the show was one of those shows like we were talking.
It's been on the air for 30 years every day, sometimes 5 times per day for what is it, since 1988. Is that 30 years? How fucking many years is that? Thank you,
24.
Sir. 24 years. That's amazing to me, and I do thank God for it, because that allows me to pay my bills, and I have a lot of kids and a lot of grandkids and a lot of people I support, and I am very grateful for that. But,
do you ever watch any of those reruns and go, I don't even remember that week, I don't recall that, or does it all come right back to you?
I remember. Yeah. I remember each week. I used to like keep a kind of a diary of each week and the memorable thing that would have that happened then. No, I remember them all.
Yeah.
I remember the laughs we had mostly.
What was it like after having that run and walking away, that you go from working 24 hours a day to you just dropped out, I guess, at that point?
No, I started a talk show the very same year that show ended, because I thought, I'm going to go right from there to there, because if I don't work, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And I really worked on that talk show for 2 years and loved every second of that too. But it was in a big rat fuck with Viacom and CBS, and half of them sold to these and these split, and my show got kind of flushed down the
But that was
drain.
fun for you doing that show? You enjoyed it?
It was that was even in many ways more fun than the Roseanne show, because whatever I wanted to do, I could do it. And then it got fun to piss off lawyers, and like they'd bring in like 20 of them, and they'd line up, and I'd just keep going. And I mean, that was not good.
Right.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
At the time.
I remember you had Tyson on when he was you were at the Tyson fight, right?
When he bit the ear.
When he bit the ear, yeah. I was there that night too.
Were you?
Was that like the craziest energy in that place? Like, it felt like everybody was going to start biting everybody's ear.
It did.
The whole
I didn't even sense it or anything, but I had just hung out with Mike for a few days, because I had interviewed him for the talk show, and we just had such a blast, and I really came to care for him a lot. And so I started thinking I was in there with Mike or whatever, but I was in the audience there when he did it, and I saw him do it, and I got up and I'm like, yeah, fucking kill it, and my husband at the time goes, we need to get the fuck out of here. And he grabbed my arm and dragged me. I was like, what? And then turned around to look up, and it was like an avalanche.
Yeah, it was madness.
And isn't that the night that Tupac got shot?
Well, it was a week, I think, after, but it was all happening because in the casino that night, they never even said it, guys were just like throwing tables over and shooting. And because it was Vegas, like when we finally got back to our room, we're like, let's turn on the news. Nothing about it. Just nothing happened. Everyone enjoyed themselves.
I just saw this sea of faces.
Yeah, it was crazy that night. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that. It was, you can imagine,
and then you and Mike were hanging out, and I'm like, geez, things are really getting weird. He's going to be doing Broadway. In a one-man show.
Everybody said it's good too.
Yeah. You haven't seen it yet?
No, I should go see it.
Yeah, you should.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't, but I know that in the previews of it, he's just laying everything out there.
Well, he can't lie.
Right.
The guy cannot lie.
Yeah.
So you have to admire him. I admire him, like I wrote about him in my book, because I would be walking behind Mike, and see the faces coming at him, and just the way they love and worshipped him was like seeing Elvis or something. Mm-hmm. How people were with Mike then. And
well, that's exactly what you were talking about before, is that when you get that kind of fame, that
I thought I had big fame till I hung out with Mike, because I mean, that it's some people love that, they love that guy.
Yeah, but then he'd just be handing out money to everyone and giving them cars or whatever.
Yeah. Elvis did that too.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool. I tried it for a while. I tried handing stuff out.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause
it's fun.
Yeah, but you would think that people couldn't go through hundreds of millions of dollars, and yet it happens. Yeah. Mainly, they say from having white tigers. You should never get white tigers.
He had those in his backyard and stuff. Well, I had fun in his house. His house was something. We went shopping for towels. He spent I shouldn't tell these things, but he spent $36,000 on towels, and and then we went to his house, and he had to go do something in another room. So I run in and snoop in his fridge to see what kind of food he had in there.
Right.
In his fridge, he didn't have a lot of things in his fridge.
No.
For somebody.
He didn't have like $82,000 of butter sitting in there.
I always keep my fridge really I stock my fridge like I feel a rich person should.
Right.
That's one of the pleasures I have of having money is I'll always have the good stuff in my fridge.
And you live almost you almost live exclusively in Hawaii now?
Yeah, I live on a farm, in a trailer on a farm.
So that keeps you way out of the mainstream when you're that far away from everything. Yeah. And there's no real. How much do you think to yourself? I know that you want to get into it a little bit, but how many calls do you get from people in Hollywood that said, we got a part for you? Or
none
whatsoever?
No, never. I never get any calls from Hollywood.
How could that possibly happen when you had 40 million people watching you?
The world turned, and I don't have a big ass.
Right.
And, I do this way, but not the way you're supposed to have it. But, the world turned, and younger people, they're always, a lot of people came, and it's their time now. But I would like to I'd like to get a nice role in a movie. Honestly, I have to say, I do get calls, honestly. I do. And I think about it and I try, but I have a lot of anxiety. And, my publicist, James, he's here. I do book things and then go, James, you've got to get me out of this. Because I start thinking and getting too nervous. Right. I want to do a play, but then when I was in rehearsal, I went, Christ, you got to memorize shit.
Right. That's true.
And I just
so
can't
most of the time your
anything.
Publicist will get you out of stuff rather than into stuff.
He said his memoirs the title is gonna be James Get Me Out of This. But really nice. It sounds good at first, but then when you start thinking about
you'll agree to anything as long as it's far away, as long as it's somewhere in the future. I'll do that 4 months from now. Sure.
Yeah, I do. I try not to do that because it gets you a bad reputation, and then they seriously don't call after you do it enough. But so I've been forcing myself to keep my appointments and do the things that I sign up to do, no matter what.
But what about just character parts? You don't have to carry the whole movie or the show. Why not just go in and lay it on them for a little bit?
Well, like I say, it's just hard to nail. It's hard to nail me down after I've been in a box for 10 years. I kind of like doing exactly what I want to do, exactly when I want to do it, which is mostly just laying around and eating nuts and drinking and writing jokes.
Right.
It's it is kind of thrilling to have nothing to do.
Right.
It is. I have goats and things like that.
In case you ever want to do a little
fun,
show
and
for them.
I started taking up art and photography and stuff like that. It's just cool to do what I want to do right when I want to do it, not having to put on makeup or get dressed or shower.
So now that you're going back and just lay there dirty, eating nuts, drinking, looking at the goats and
smoking
drawing.
a shitload of medical marijuana.
You actually one of the people that said the marijuana has done better for you than any of the drugs that shrinks ever put you on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
With my anxiety, absolutely. I have really bad anxiety, just say, I don't know why I'm saying that on this show. But I do have a lot of anxiety. And, I have a lot of bad anxiety.
And weed will help
Fear of numbers. Crazy things.
What number do you have a problem with?
If numbers if they don't add up to what I think they should add up to, I get really nervous. I just have a lot of peculiar, like a lot of comics do.
Right.
A lot of comics have to do something a certain number of times. Like I remember talking to Rodney Dangerfield about that. You have to do. He's like, what's your number? And I'm like, 5. And he's like, yeah, mine's 7. And we had hours long conversations about how it has to come out to 7 or 5. Just things comics do.
And
we're not like normal
No.
people.
And that's one of the things I think that happens with kids that they don't realize when they're not normal. There's a place for them to go. You know what I mean?
What, into comedy?
Yeah, you can go into
Yeah.
comedy. There's other weird jobs, but instead we try to fix kids. Instead of going, all right, you are kind of different.
Yeah.
What are the different jobs for you?
I see it in my kids and my grandkids. It's like this weird gene or genetic code thing that cannot be overcome. And, when I see it, then I understand myself. My 7-year-old grandson, he has it. Well, all my grandsons have it, and my son has it too. But my 7-year-old grandson has it pretty bad. He got kicked out of school in first grade because he's got it. And he was sitting there in class, and he's like, "Oh, my head. Oh no, I can't say it. I can't say it." And so the teacher's like, "What is it, Cosmo? What do you have that you want to see?" He goes, "My brains are telling me that you're an idiot." and then he pointed to the fat girl in class, and he goes, "And she's really fat. That won't stop. It's telling me to." And so he got kicked out. But it's just like a thing,
right? He had the thought, he had to share it.
It's like a Tourette's thing being a comic.
Yeah,
I really think it is.
And if, the thing is that we look at those kids and we go, something's wrong with you, instead of saying, hey, you could go on the road with Sinbad. You're going to get bread and soup.
Well, all my kids and grandkids are like, Granny, put us in the movies. We want to be on the comedy show.
Right.
And, so that's the whole other side of it. I'm like, you don't want to go down that road. You need to do math.
Right.
So you don't want them to.
They turn their math in and everything just has 5 at the bottom. Their grandmother's been helping them. It's all 5s here. Well, Roseanne, it was wonderful to have you come by.
Nice to be here too. Thanks.
And,
it's nice to see you again.
You're just terrific. And
so are you. Thank you.
We will be watching this comedy roast and tell them not to. I
gotta say, I think I got some damn good jokes.
Good. It's coming up on Comedy Central.
Thanks.
Everybody, Roseanne Barr, let her hear it. That's just wonderful. Roseanne, there she goes. Bennington Show. We're back live after the Roseanne Barr unmasked. Roseanne Barr making America laugh again. While we were doing that, the reason why we played that to start the show today is we had a last minute unmasked with Tracy Morgan that was just so much fun. A lot of people have teased me about the person that I'm interviewing breaking down in tears, but on this occasion, the audience was crying throughout the whole show.
Yes. And not just a couple people, I would say majority audience was crying, dabbing tears. I'm saying men, women, across the board. Everyone was crying.
Men, women, children.
In that order.
Look, it's not so much that people cried. It's that they stayed crying.
I think that there is a fair amount of sniffles that could be picked up throughout this interview.
It's adorable.
Everyone was like,
Tracy Morgan is one of the most unique people because sometimes he's just talking crazy and the audience is so touched by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he carries every emotion that he's ever had with him at all times, and he's able to access it. So afterwards, 10, 15 minutes go by. We come down here. Oh, Chris has said him. I'm like, Chris, how long before we go back live? He goes, I don't know. We have another 15. So I said, Gail, I'm going to go down and have a smoke. Do you want to come with me? We go down into the lobby and we're walking through and we just see this crazy line, and it's people in our building lining up to get pictures with Tracy. He's just standing down there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Not looking annoyed, happy to take the time with everybody.
And these
so
are
sweet.
Sirius XM people. We didn't line up the picture thing for him here, but everyone downstairs who's in the lobby.
Yes.
It was insane.
Yes.
It was insane. He lives his life that way. We got to have a complete retooling again. After all these years, we got to have a complete retooling about how we put that together. Because the interviews themselves are fantastic.
Yeah,
but it's pure chaos running up to that point. I'll just say this. My comedy tour of Fairfield, Connecticut, we had the closing night on Saturday night, which is tough because me and the other comics, Beecher, Joe, I think his name is Marty, we became a family, okay? A family away from our families. But that was so much fun in Fairfield. I couldn't even begin to tell you. It was just a blast. The second show was so drunk, and I had to ride this fucking crowdsourced wave. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, well, they're here to see you just because they're fucking hammered. You know? But I didn't get a call from Chris to check, and I didn't get a call to Vito to check. But thank you, Gail, for checking in to see how the show went. Because this is our show, and we all promoted it, and you would think there would be some interest. But I think that's what happened with the Unmasked today, too.
Yeah.
I'm going to need help in Austin. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm going to need help.
I'd like to be there.
You were here today.
Yes, I was.
And Saturday. But what I need is somebody who cares about it all, somebody who wants to be involved in this. But thanks to Tracy. The Last O.G. Tomorrow night, 10:30. There isn't anything else like this on TV because it's a comedy and it's so fucking sweet. And yet it's not corny. I don't even know how to describe this. You know what I mean?
Really, really excited to watch the show because there's so much programming out there, and most of it you're like, oh, that looks like it could be good. Maybe I could get into it, but it's all really overwhelming. But when I saw the trailer for it, I right away thought, like, well, this looks like really unique, and I feel like...
Well, you know, we've seen so many, like, shows that have hit, like Vice Principals and stuff like that people are trying to repeat into that type of stuff. So a lot of times people go, what do you think of that show? I go, it's great if I hadn't seen a murderous funny man already. You know what I mean? Like if this show would have come out 4 years ago or 5 years ago before that trend started, it'd be fantastic. But I've seen it.
Yeah. I don't know if it was really The Sopranos that was like the jumping point where we had the anti-hero who was dark, but they were vulnerable, but you know, the subject matter was dark, but sometimes you try to bring comedy into it because we've never really gotten off that track that's what like the critics kind of choose as their favorite thing is, you know, a Breaking Bad type character.
Yeah, because we all love those shows and we're like, now I need another one. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that you're no longer so shocked if a funny guy puts a fucking ice pick in their boss's throat. You know what I mean? You're not as shocked as you were with The Sopranos. Like the first time you see Tony Soprano as a dad, and then he's taking his daughter, you know, to check out a college, and it's just the two of them, and there's that sweet thing, and then he chokes a man to death.
Right.
We were fucking mortified. We didn't know what to do with that information. Now we're like, yeah, you got to kill that fucker. You know what I mean? You've already fallen into it. But this show, I'll give you the background. So Tracy just does 15 years in prison. And he comes back to Brooklyn, and it's a different Brooklyn, right? And his girl, at the time, there's a flashback, and it's Tiffany Haddish. By the way, she shot this before she blew up. So they got a major movie star in the show signed to TBS. But she's like, don't go. And he does, you know what I mean? To get a little money. And it's funny because they're like watching American Idol, the first season. And it's just like, it's got to do the right thing, feel, you know, for a second. But she doesn't, you know, she's just done with him, and she never goes to visit him in prison, and it's because she was about to tell him that she was pregnant. Got her pregnant. So he gets out, And suddenly, Brooklyn looks like Brooklyn today with, $5 cups of coffee and baristas and high-end restaurants. And this is the place that he was slinging rock, It's so funny because when I was younger, when I was a kid, it would be like somebody would go back to New York and now it's run down. And they'd be like, oh, this is where we had the old movie theater. You know what I mean? Like, it's always changing, and it depends on whether it's the good or the worst. So she's living with a white guy in a townhouse with these two kids that are obviously Tracy's, and he's in a halfway house with Cedric, the entertainer, running it, who calls him Dick Licker. Get in here, Dick Licker. And it's fucking so funny in places, and other places is just so bittersweet because this guy lost 15 years of his life, lost the woman that he loved, lost the opportunity to have his kids grow up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it could be a drama, a heartbreaking drama, but because it's Tracy, it's constantly bittersweet.
Yeah.
And there are scenes in this, and I did not expect it. I watched the first 6 episodes, but there's scenes in it that just fucking choked me up, like Tracy choked you up.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about him. He's just such a teddy bear. It's just like he's so emotional, but vulnerable, and you just want the best for him, and crazy too.
Well, one night, this is just what Tracy is, right? So one night, I'm down at the stand. It's like in the summer. And Tracy just walks up and he just walks straight downstairs, takes a look at the crowd, comes back outside. And Adele's there, and she's the manager. And she's like, Tracy, it's so great to see you. Would you like to go up? And he's like, I go up when I decide to go up. All right, no one knows when you're called to comment. He just immediately starts lecturing. And I don't know what was going on in his head. But so I'm just sitting and I'm having a ball just watch him be Tracy. No different, by the way, than what you just saw. You know what I mean? Just breaks into crazy talk, movie talk, fucking sexist, understand all kinds of shit, right? So people will just be walking along and they'll see Tracy, and they're just so fucking happy to see him. It's not like they saw, like Jay-Z or Kanye, where you're like, oh my God. It's just like they become happy, and he's very easily approachable. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a star above it all. And he's been on so many fucking TV shows, one after another. I mean, his career is nuts. So a homeless guy just stops and says, Tracy Morgan, yeah? Tracy's talking to him for a while. And Tracy's just being like really one-on-one with him. And Tracy says to him, hey man, you got money? And he goes like this. You're the one with the money, dude, not me. This fucking homeless guy thought Tracy was asking him for $5. And then Tracy just goes in his pocket and pulls out a stack for this guy. And then he just decides to leave it. He just takes off by himself. Yeah. And I remember thinking, I wish Tracy had somebody with him right now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of worry about him.
Yeah.
At the same time,
because there's something kind of childlike about him.
Very, yes. Yeah. He's somewhere, he's like childish, and he's wise, and he's really nasty, but he's really sweet. And everything that's ever happened in his life, you see him just carry it around on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, he'll just start telling anybody personal things.
Yeah.
And
I think this was such a great unmask because he is the kind of performer who is so connected with the audience, which also means he needs things from the audience. So that always makes a performer want to make them laugh, right, want to make them cry, want to whatever. But he like really was like looking out, like we're all in this together. He came up to me after, gave me a big hug, asked me if I liked it. I don't know Tracy Morgan. Like this is not, I didn't have any conversation with him beforehand.
Well, before we went in and, we couldn't find him. We didn't set it up so we know where he is at any given time. So I don't even think your warm-up was very long today, right?
No, it was like 10 seconds. And normally I have a little bit more time to, give people little...
Yeah. So I said to him, I go, Tracy, man, I watched 6 episodes. Then you got to tell me right now to my face what you think of this. I go, Tracy, I was really surprised. It's so sweet. And it's also funny. You know what I mean? And he goes like this. Now, you've watched a lot of TV. I go, every fucking human. Like, you're not going to meet an American who doesn't feel like he's a TV expert. You know what I mean? So coming from you. But yeah, it is. It's really sweet. And it's really unique. And it's great. G Baby won the HQ last night.
He won again.
What?
Did he really?
Yeah. And that was the $75,000 win.
This is his second win, I think, too.
Did we tweet up the other thing? Oh, he got $65 out of it.
Nice chunk of change.
Did we tweet up the clip from HQ last night?
I believe we did.
No, that was on the iBang. It's tweeted, so the Bennington Show can retweet that.
Well, just go to it so I can play the clip.
I have the clip here.
All right, go ahead and play it.
Go get 'em, brain. Go, go, Gadget. Q7, we have over 1 million people watching still with 438 in it. Q7, which of these punctuation marks can be found in an interrobang? Ampersand, pound sign, or question mark? That chief was always getting blown up in the mailbox. What gives, chief? Maybe change your behavior. One might use an interrobang to punctuate an excited query like, did you tap the right answer? It is a comedy blog curated by a former dentist, as well as an exclamation point and a question mark smushed together. Bing, bong, bang. Question mark's your answer. 185,000.
Korean goes around and tells people.
He's correct.
This was his, original. He's so fucking hilarious.
He's the curator.
He's the curator. But what he used to do when he would bring guests in here, he would say, would you like to come on my show? I have a show on the Ron and Fez show. And he would bring the guest in. And he would say that his segment was his show on our show, which was hosted by us. So eventually that's how he ran into trouble with Sirius by telling them something. That's why we can't get him in anymore.
No.
I just accepted in him.
Sure. And I would think that other people, I guess if you don't know him very well, you're going to take him for his word. But if you've known him for more than a minute, you would guess that he's stretching the truth. That is so funny that it is the statement curated by a former dentist.
I know I tell you guys to watch a lot of fucking things and you never do, but I'm just going to say this. There's a movie called Norman, right? And Richard Gere plays the Jeffrey Gurian of the finance world, right? I can't fucking believe how much Richard Gere reminds me of Jeffrey.
I have to see it then.
It's a comedy blog curated by a former dentist. And that's what'll happen. You'll be watching TV and someone will bring up Jeffrey's name, or God forbid anybody dies. When Jerry Lewis died. And I wish the fuck somebody could find this because we could never find it again. But he was brought on as one of Jerry Lewis's friends. And he does the same thing. He goes on these shows, right? I'll be watching MSNBC. And then he'll hold up pictures with him with the person. And you can see that the host is nervous. Now you think, okay, why get nervous about that? Think of how much TV that you've seen, right? I mean, this week is the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King Day. So they're going to have a lot of people who knew King. No one's going to have a framed picture that they just hold up. The TV network might decide to run a picture, but why would here's a picture of me with him. This is at the Friars Roast. And here's another picture of me. I caught him coming out of his hotel.
Oh, my God.
Here I am running next to his car. So I saw, and I love Jeffrey, but I saw him not too long ago. So he goes, so you're going up to do the Ridgefield Comedy Club? I go, yeah. That's great, Ron. I go, thanks, buddy. Can I open for you? So I'm like, I don't, I'm not booking the whole show. I'm just going up as I'm headlining the show, but it's not a Ron Bennington production. It's Emilio is doing it. And he goes like this. Could I tell him that you thought it would be okay if I opened? And I said, sure.
Oh my God. Now, is your personality then to go to Emilio and go, hey, just a heads up?
No.
You're just like, hey, I'll let that happen.
I'll let life happen as it happens. You know what I mean? I'm not cock blocking. I'm not cock stroking. I'm just living a life.
See, then I look up to you and I want to be that person because I feel like my instinct would be like, yeah, you can do that, and then call me and like, hey, dude, I don't know what he's going to come to you and say, but I didn't say this, man. I did not say this. I wouldn't sleep for days leading up to it because I'd be stressing about how to handle that situation.
I don't even think I figure that's between all of them. You know what I mean? Like if Amelia goes, okay, but originally like, do you want to? And I go, well, you have a show. There's a couple local guys up there. It's a lot to ask people to get in and out of the fucking city. I'm not in charge of. Plus, I know a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, that tour was so massive.
I know.
There was over, I believe, 20 trucks carrying stuff from one show to the next.
Really?
Yeah. Emilio actually came up that night. He's got, the New York Comedy Club, and he's so sweet. He came up, brought us Frank Pepe's pizza, which is the big pizza there.
Oh, yeah.
And then had cigars for me.
That's classy.
I know. I got to think of something to say back to him. I got the perfect thing. Thanks.
That's good. I think he'll really know where you're coming from when he hears that.
And I got the big, how did it go from Vito? I got the big, how did it go from Chris? And I just, Gail, you're the main one who checked in to see.
Well, I was very curious how the tour went.
The weird thing is I met so many people who asked about all you guys.
Oh, that's so sweet.
They're like, are they here? And I go, none of everyone's not here. I'm not even getting a fucking text. A simple text.
I saw, pictures from that people had posted who met you. They were all really sweet. It seems like it was a really fun time.
Do you see the two Brazilian girls?
I did.
I slept with them.
It seemed like it was very possible.
Yeah, they were a very big part of the show. This was funny in the first show. So there's a woman, gorgeous woman, right? And she has an entire row, 4 or 5 young men. And she was all of their mothers. And I'm like, how's this happening? And she had adopted a lot of these boys.
Oh, wow.
And I'm saying this one, I go, when did she adopt you? And he's like, I don't know, a couple months ago. I go, what the fuck is going on? This whole thing feels like Ma Barker. It was very weird. And this woman was gorgeous and was just surrounded by these young, I'll say quite edgy looking young men.
Really?
Yeah. And she was hip as fuck. She had these high boots and everything. She's like, no, these are all my sons. I'm like, okay, but this was funny. One of them was going into the Navy, and like the audience waited like 3 or 4 seconds before they clapped. Because you forget you're supposed to clap for every veteran now.
Yes, you have
but
to.
You could see that they forgot for a while, and then they quick tried to
Okay. But I didn't forget.
catch up for the troops.
I didn't forget. I support you. Thank you for your service.
I haven't seen anybody sign up for the Navy in a while, but, I'm not always getting out of the city. It's a whole different thing when you get out of the city.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't run into people in the city who think, maybe I'll go in the Navy.
It doesn't come up so much.
Bubble. It's a fucking liberal bubble you guys live in. Me, I'm out there in America. I did that giant fucking tour. I'm doing a tour of Jersey in a couple of weeks.
That's true, yeah.
I won't hear from anybody. No, I will hear, and then I'll be fucking pissed that I had to remind people to check it. They're the producers of the show.
I know.
They promoted this. Well, when I forced them to promote.
Your Jersey tour is happening.
Just give it a rest. You don't have to do it now.
Okay.
I don't want to force you into stuff. I don't want to force you into the Jersey store.
Tour.
Go ahead, let yourself laugh, Vito. You don't have to fucking hide behind your hand. Just laugh. It's funny. He said Jersey fucking store. Enjoy that. My moon tower is up too when I'm going to be down there at Austin. I know I'm doing Big J's What's Your Fucking Deal show, and we've already announced that we're doing a Colin Quinn Unmasked, which is I'm looking forward to it. I think is his first big thing that he's done since the heart attack.
I know. I love Colin so much.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anybody better. I mean, you could say there's people as good, I guess, a handful of people that you could put there, but he's as good as it gets. And we're there's a major name that we want. And if we don't, we're probably just not going to do anything other than that. But I'm going to be doing shows every night down there.
That's going to be so much fun, and Austin is the best.
I'm on the opening night, that Wednesday night, which is already a sold-out show. No need to promote it. And then I'm doing the last night I'm going to host the Best of New York. I don't know who's all in that show, but that's pretty cool to have the opening night and the last night.
Oh, that's perfect. That's the full run of the tour.
Yeah. And then my flight home is like so early in the morning. It's frustrating.
Oh, no. I hated a super early flight.
Me too. Yeah, me too. I don't get the point of that. Oh, you either leave super early or late at night.
Somewhere in the middle, please.
Yeah. So I'll be doing that week, and then the following week I'm going over to the Jersey store.
Mm-hmm. You're on tour all the time.
Wait, another one of our listeners won last night? San Miguel? This is his Twitter. San Miguel 1280? What the fuck?
What the hell?
It's like we're magic around here.
What was I playing last night?
I saw your mom today. She's adorable.
She's such a sweetheart.
She was so happy to come. She loves Tracy and loves you. So she.
Why didn't you put her up close from the front?
So I had a seat for her in the front, and she goes, "What if I cough?" And I was like, "You're not sick or anything." And she goes, "Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't want to cough." She doesn't have a cough. She's not sick.
Because Tracy will start talking to the front row.
Yes.
Yeah.
He can't help it. He could not help it.
He focused on Gail's mom so long that I literally had to say, well, this is uncomfortable.
I mean, that was very uncomfortable.
Did you think it was funny that I said it, though?
Yes.
I go, well, if we're all being honest, we're all going to be honest out here like Richard Pryor taught me.
I introduced him to my mom after, and he was very nice to her.
That's sweet.
That's very sweet.
That's fucking sweet.
She got a picture. It's a really nice picture.
Mm. So did everybody in the lobby. I mean, it means nothing. By the end of today, everyone in New York will be posed next to him. Now, you watch TV, right? You know TV. Yes. Tracy, every fucking American has watched a lot of TV. I doubt very much you can come up with a show that I haven't at least heard of. Did you watch the Jesus Christ Superstar last night?
I did watch Jesus Christ Superstar.
I watched the beginning of it, which seemed like it was going well. I thought John Legend should have tried to look a little Jesus-y instead of like John Legend. To me, it was like John Legend Superstar.
You know what? I don't want to get too nitpicky on the look.
Right.
But I feel like Jesus, no matter what race, has to have out of control hair. I feel like you've got to go flowing hair, or you've got to go a big afro, or you got to just do something wild and free. I just feel like that was a little too tight of a look for Jesus.
Was he trying to be 2018 Jesus?
I don't know, because, I actually thought what I did like about it originally when I heard about the idea, I thought it was going to be more like the way they did Grease Live. And I thought that they were going to try to kind of modernize it and kind of make it a big TV experience. The thing I did really like about it is that it seemed like a stage show that just happened to be recorded. Like that there was like more emphasis on that. But I didn't think that they tried to like hip it or over modern it too much. Like I just
Bill
felt like
O'Reilly wrote today or last night, I guess. I didn't know Jesus ran a tattoo parlor, which I said, I didn't see the whole thing. But you know what? That Mary Magdalene song always has killed me, man.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. The music in that play is fantastic.
When I was a little kid with the Catholic stuff, right? I felt like all the little boys kind of wanted to be Jesus, and the little girls wanted to be Mary Magdalene,
I always thought that as a kid. Like, I don't know why I got it in my head, but like for some reason, I think it's a common thing with young girls who, even if your family is Catholic, you just kind of think like, could I be the mother? The Virgin Mother.
Well, Mary Magdalene wasn't the mother. She was the girlfriend.
Right. Yeah.
Well, not the girlfriend, but some people say she was a girlfriend.
But like also Mary Magdalene later becomes your obsession because it's like, oh, she's like the lover of Jesus. Even if you don't really think it, like she was his romantic connection.
Well, there people are going, I don't know why she's not called a disciple. She definitely was with him like all the disciples. Like it wasn't an assigned club where everybody had status. It was like the people who followed him were the disciples.
I remember one time I was in, it must have been like a CCD class or something like that. And the teacher was saying something about, okay, in this particular verse, they're talking about the crowd that was there. And they're like, oh, there was like 100 people there. And he was like, and just so you know, back in that day, they didn't count women as people. So it was probably double the amount. And immediately I just went, this is terrible. Like even as a kid, I went, well, then why are we listening to that? I mean, this isn't good. This is outdated material.
So he's saying at the very least, every dude was dating somebody.
Yes. They're like...
See, I never heard that. I always just thought they were a lot of abstinence guys.
So the whole point was that all the estimates in the Bible are off. If they said there was 1,000 people, there was 2,000.
All right, that's director Shasta who won over the weekend on HQ. And a really big piece on Lag Daddy in the Rolling Stone.
Yeah, that was
really cool.
That was great. Lag Daddy's getting the respect he deserves.
Well, this is the thing that I always had with Easter, and I remember bringing it up when I was a kid and being shut down. But Jesus physically ascended. You know what I mean? He physically ascended. His spirit didn't go to... They saw him ascend. And I was like, well, did it look like he was walking up invisible steps, or did he just start to fly like Superman? Did he just take off like Superman? Or since it kind of maybe wasn't his idea, it came from God, was he just started floating up like a balloon and was spending a couple of seconds like, how do you get this
right? Like, is he on a course? Like, is he moving freely with the wind, or are we talking like a beam me up scenario?
Right. I mean, there's so many different ways to ascend. And if he was floating up, like you said, with the wind, people are like, is that still it? Like, you ever like let go of a balloon and you keep it, there it is, right there. And then it disappears again. But asking a question like that of nuns, they don't. And I'm going, you got me interested. I'm into this now. Did you even have nuns, or were they gone by the time you came around, Vito?
We had one nun, but mostly priests.
This is the weirdest thing. When I was a kid in the neighborhood that I was born in, and then there would be 10 nuns to every priest. There was nothing but nuns. Your chances of seeing a priest were so rare that it was like a little intimidating, but the nuns were everywhere.
Why did our nun numbers drop?
Because we kind of treat them like shit. Like there's no upward mobility.
Right.
But even the church that this is how many nuns. When I was born into a Catholic hospital. Sacred Heart. Mm-hmm. The nurses were nuns. When I would go back to the hospital to their what do you call it? The emergency ward.
Mm-hmm.
A fucking nun would be like, yeah, what's wrong?
It's so wild.
I remember getting this cut in my foot, and I had to get a shot in it because I'd sliced my
tetanus.
Right? Yeah, I didn't get a tetanus shot, and the nun was like holding on to my wrist, like this is gonna hurt because he put it right there. And I said shit, and the nun's like, "That's okay, honey, because you're upset. That's all right to say it." I go, "Could I say other stuff?" And she's like, "No, just the one,
just that one time."
That thing. But I would have been, even older by then. But now there's some nuns that live on my block, but they only go around and tell people not to have an abortion. That's the only thing they do, and they give blankets to people who didn't have an abortion, like, "You got any clothes for the people who didn't have abortions?" So here's the thing, and I don't want to tell anybody what to do with their body, but know that there's extra blankets in the end if you decide to go full term. I know that for a fact.
Like, even if it was a planned pregnancy, just tell a nun you're thinking about it just for the blanket.
Look, I'm telling you right now, I'd rather get old jeans than an old blanket from somebody. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather get their clothes than to say, "Here's a blanket someone else had wrapped around them. Now wrap it around yourself."
Yeah, I feel like jeans and bedding never bought either vintage or used or secondhand. Neither one of those things.
No.
An outerwear, yes, I've done that plenty of times.
And you don't want used underwear,
right? But like, if it like outerwear, you feel like you've got your own clothes protecting you. There's like a
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird thing. That is a very weird deal. This is something else that bothers me. All right, so they did the Easter egg roll today, right? I don't like the Easter egg roll after Easter.
No.
I go, everything that you're going to do that's Easter related has to be done.
He's already risen, I feel, at this point.
So you enjoyed the Jesus Christ Superstar?
I actually did. I was not expecting to.
How was Alice Cooper?
He was good. Yeah, he was good, and
just okay though. Not mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean, look, that number is a very flamboyant number. So he got a huge pop from the crowd when he was out there. But that number is like really over the top. So it requires a lot of commitment, I think.
And he's a little older for it.
Yeah, or like maybe he's like doing his Alice Cooper. So it should have
been Marilyn Manson instead of Alice Cooper.
I think he would have played it gayer, which is kind of the thing that's funny about the King Herod song, is it's very flamboyant and strange.
I gotta tell you the truth. I never was a big Jesus Christ Superstar fan, other than that one song I brought up.
Yeah.
And I do like the Jesus Christ
Super. Yeah, I really like the music in it.
Yeah. I can't say that I do, but that other song fucking kills me.
Yeah.
Here's our buddy Lewis. Lewis, what's up, pal?
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I saw the Jesus Christ Superstar. I loved it. I saw the movie once, but I saw like bits and pieces of the movie. I thought the guy that played Judas in the movie should have been Jesus because his voice was like over the top good. Mm-hmm. And I felt like in this current play, I feel like they lived up to it. I think they even surpassed the movie a little bit, but I was a little disappointed because I thought they were going to do the resurrection. I know they don't do that in the movie, but I thought that would have been fucking fantastic if they did that.
Yeah, there's no resurrection.
Are they acting like maybe there wasn't a resurrection? Are we going with that?
Yeah, I was thinking that, but then I don't know. I go back and forth with that, but I think they still should have showed it.
I think it's more like there's like they try to do it quickly with a little symbolism, but there's not the story.
Yeah, but what if you would have had Jesus like the Peter Pan accent?
Yeah,
that would have been
that would be really good.
That I wanted. Then he could have left like Pig Sand.
They gotta go over the top with it. And I agree with the Alice Cooper thing was just awful. I hate that fucking song. I hate that whole fucking thing about it, man. It's just awful. Not the gay stuff. Nothing wrong with being gay, but that song is just shit.
You went out of your way to cover for that, didn't you, man?
Seems like I don't know.
No, the song is awful, man. It's like this. I don't know what you call that shit, but that
I don't think I even made it that far, even any of this stuff.
He shows up very close towards the end. Yeah. His number, and I agree that the Judas's voice was really fantastic because he has like a big number, like maybe the second to last number that's like really over the top. And
I always felt like the movie was trying to say that Judas was the good guy or something. Like that's what I always felt about it because he had the better role and he kind of ascended.
Yeah, and Judas's thing was kind of like, the thing that's interesting about him is if he doesn't do that, then we don't get the story. And he was kind of in a position, just like Jesus was in a position, like, why is this supposed to happen? Why is this supposed to
So he felt like it was out of his hands.
Yeah, like
Judas didn't make a choice.
Right. He kind of just felt like, well, why wasn't I stopped? Or if you knew this was the case, why wouldn't you go somewhere else when I tipped him off? So,
some
almost like they were both on a course.
Fucking responsibility, and I'm going to put Judas in that thing. Take some personal responsibility. You fucking rat, and you come from a family of rats.
Yeah, but it's really good. I think it's the best NBC Live thing they ever did.
Well, that's not even high praise.
Yeah.
I mean, they do some shitty stuff.
Definitely agree with you there. And I think that's why I was so surprised by it, because they took a very different style with this one, where I think they let it be an actual theater piece. Rather than just like a TV extravaganza.
Well, this one is a rock opera as well. So there's not much you can do. You could have them run around town, but the point is, you don't do that in an opera,
right?
You know what I mean? All right, thanks, Louis.
All right, man.
Peace. There was so much TV on last night. I can't even keep. I don't know what it is. 6 days a week, there's nothing to watch, and then Sunday,
it's very overwhelming.
Whatever. My fucking cable company only lets me do 2 at one time, right? So now I'm fucking forced into. If I got to move back, Silicon Valley or Billions, what do I do? Tape them at 2:00 in the morning? Because I don't fucking trust on demand on there either. What kind of cable do we have, Vito, in New York?
Spectrum.
Fucking hate it.
The on-demand is terrible.
It's really bad. And I've been fucked over on it, like, for no reason. Like, something that was on record series, and then one episode just doesn't record, doesn't replay, and doesn't go on demand. And I'm like, so I have no options here.
Yeah, because channels don't even do replays. Like, they used to have, like, the show replay, like, 2 hours later, or, like, do the 2 in a row, and now they just depend on demand, so you're fucked for, like, 4 days sometimes.
All right, but let's take this. So Atlanta, I don't see it when it fucking comes out. And on demand, they start at episode 2 and go up. There's no episode 1 on my on demand. So what the fuck am I supposed to do? Start this thing and try to guess? You know what I mean? Because this is a serial. All right, there's the teachers marching and shit. Teachers have become the new blue collar fucking workers in America.
Yep.
They're more blue collar than the blue collar these days. Why would anyone want to be a teacher?
No, there's a lot of cons.
I'd rather sling rock. I'd rather be out in the fucking streets selling fucking crack. You know what? Let me even go beyond it. I'd sell my body. I'd be willing to orally and anally please fucking strangers for money, not just for fun, before I would go in there and try to teach some fucking kid. Like, what do you think is the lowest grade that you could teach before you're like, this is insane? Or the highest?
The highest, yeah. I think the highest, because I think I could teach preschool. I think that'd be easy.
I'd go nuts.
I think I could do kindergarten.
I'd kill myself.
I'm gonna say second grade is the highest I could teach, and once third grade hits, I think I would be out of control. Like, I would not have control over the classroom.
See, I don't think any man wants to teach him that young.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, he wants to be able to physically threaten them without having them cry. Vito, you could pick a grade. What would you teach?
My 7th grade teacher was just a cool dude who I don't think was a good teacher, and he did fine. So I think I could do 7th grade under the way he did it.
See, everybody does picture themselves as a cool teacher. Like, hey, kids, let me tell you something about Shakespeare, but I'll rap it.
He wasn't one of those cool teachers. He was just a tall, athletic black guy that talked to us about basketball a lot. So we just liked him for that.
Well, that's a bad teacher.
No, it wasn't a good teacher. Like, his name was Mr. Man. He was not a good teacher.
Well, first of all, if it's a fucking math class, then you're hearing, I'm telling you right now, Jordan could not have played against Magic. Magic made sure everybody played at a high level. Jordan only cared about Jordan. All right, move on now. We're going to go to Isosceles triangles. Chris, what could you teach?
I couldn't teach the younger kids, and if I taught in high school, I'd get fired and fight them. I'd have to be like a college professor, I think. That's the only thing I'd be willing to do.
Master's program for you.
Yeah.
You could only go in a master's program.
I mean, the high school would just be terrible.
High school sophomore is probably the worst. I don't think anybody wants to be a high school sophomore.
No,
teacher.
I think if I'm thinking what my worst grade would be 7th or 8th grade. I think I could get them back on my side. 9th, 10th graders, for sure. 11th graders, totally fine. But I think the 7th, 8th grade is when, like, it's just mayhem.
7th, 8th grade, you come into your class and the kids have taken the ceiling panels off.
Yeah.
They're trying to crawl up in there. Like, what are you fucking doing?
You know what? I'm fucking throwing 6th grade in there, too. They're pieces of shit.
My middle school, I remember being fine, but 10th grade, I remember them having a meeting with my grade and saying, you're the worst sophomore class we've ever had. One teacher got fired at the end of the year. He had no control over his class. I remember one day he's checking a kid's paper, and somebody drew a dick on his shoe.
First of all, we didn't need all that backstory. All you had to say is some kid drew a dick on the shoe. But yeah, kids draw dicks at that age.
Yeah, that's,
it's fucking
they're
cool.
out to do it.
And a lot of times you leave it up to them. Is he pissing on someone's face or jizzing on it? Take a good look.
I always assume cum.
I wouldn't, because there's no reason to assume that. A lot of these kids don't even know what jizz is for or looks like.
Yeah.
But they're all familiar with piss. Look, there's Tracy right there.
There he is. We just hung out with him.
He looked good, too, didn't he, today?
He did look really good.
People don't even realize, like, before all this even happened with the accident, he had to get a new kidney and everything years before.
Yeah.
He doesn't even bring that up in his crazy fucking stories. Jack White album debuted at number 1. Hey, Vito, why don't you take a look at me and make sure that this stuff starts to move, all right? I know you got a lot of great stories from your past and shit, but I really want to make sure that room runs properly. And what else is up on the iBang today? All right, Miley Cyrus is in this beef with Twitter right now because she did a sexy picture of her being spanked by the Easter Bunny that people say that isn't appropriate. So I would only say this. If she was being spanked by Jesus, yeah, I could see it.
The good thing is the Easter Bunny isn't real.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to get upset about it.
No, Miley Cyrus this is the thing about her. There's something sleek about her body that's always sexy. You know
I always like her. I don't know why, but I've always liked her.
Well, I like her because she's crazy as shit. You know what I mean? And incredibly confident.
Mm-hmm.
But from a physicality point of view, she's not like a beauty queen or anything.
No.
But her body is always fucking aerodynamic or something.
I know. That's like a Barbie doll leg. It's like a perfect leg.
Chris in Philly.
Hey, guys. I always thought, it'd be fun to teach elementary school kids until I married an elementary school teacher.
Never.
And the horror stories that she tells me with, and like most people think teaching kids, it seems like a good time, even youngers. But the problem is that you'll have like 15 kids that are relatively well behaved and want to listen. It's the other 10 kids that have like emotional issues, bad homes, that have autism, that have ADHD, that have peanut allergies, that pretty much makes their lives living hell.
I'll tell you, out of all those kids, the one that the teacher hates the most is the fucking funny kid. So I got no fucking thing. They never have an eye for that. They never have an eye for what kid is actually naturally funny. But, and this is the other thing about teachers. Female teachers are fucking the hell out of the kids. Yeah. Every time I turn around and look at a newspaper article, there's a blonde lady who got busted for fucking a kid.
Yeah, it happens a lot. And I know it's in the news. I know it's in the news a lot when women do it. I'm not sure if it's covered as much because we just assume men. Maybe it's like a sexy story, but it did seem like out of nowhere, all of a sudden there were just women having sex with kids.
I think they've figured out what kind of guy is going to have sex with kids, and they're keeping them out.
Right.
And it's normally a young, immature dude. You know what I mean? Like, he's not... It's very rare that you hear somebody that's like a lot older than a kid. But this woman there is an attractive woman.
Yeah.
And she's like with a 13-year-old. I know, and the kid's family's pissed. His buddies are impressed. His buddies think it's the greatest thing that ever happened.
The thing that makes no sense is that, I mean, a 13-year-old boy is maybe the worst human on earth. Like, I couldn't think of anything less attractive. No. Like, if you told me, like, even if you were saying, like, oh, this attractive woman is 17-year-old, I would be like, I wonder what she saw in this kid. I'm sure he was dumb. I don't understand. But, like, a 13-year-old that's, like, they're monsters. They're just, like, they're in a weird in-between age.
Hold this so I can see her right here. Please, would you please bring it down? Yeah, she's got a nice body. There's no...
she's really attractive.
It seems like she could fuck somebody at a bowling alley bar would be gross, but acceptable.
Totally fine.
Like, if she wants to be weird... But, I don't think... I don't think they know how to catch the woman who's going to do this.
Right.
I think there are women that maybe they were nerdy in high school and now they feel like, oh, I know how to be sexy. You know, I'll get the cool kid. I'll get the bad boy. Because I don't think they're sitting around fucking mathletes. You know what I mean? I think they're basically with Bender.
Yeah.
From fucking, is that who his name was?
Bender.
And Breakfast Club. And you could see a lot of people wanted to fuck Bender.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, he was the only one that was fuckable by a teacher or even somebody that was with the administration. Hey, John, Utah, you're on Bennington. What's up?
Hey, how's it going, you guys? Listen every day. Love the show.
It is good.
I'm a second grade teacher. I'm 60 years old. I went back and got a degree when I was 48 so I could teach little kids. So I just want to stand up for the men teacher out there, Ronnie, because you're kind of hard on them.
Oh, I couldn't do it. I could not do it under any circumstance. And I don't know who would want to do that, John. You know what I mean?
Well,
I don't see the difference between teaching children and breastfeeding. They both seem like they don't come natural to a man. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the reason that I did it was because I did feel like there's no men teaching. And I teach in a Title I school here in Salt Lake City. Believe it or not, the school I teach at is 80% Hispanic, free lunches for everybody, as hard a neighborhood as there is in this part of town.
I feel like you're making a difference.
I do feel like I'm making a difference. And you know what? Let me just tell you, my first year, so I've had other jobs, been successful, had a home business, and kind of my kids grew up, and I just kind of miss kids. I had 3 sons. I coached them in Little League. I was always involved. But so I went and got a degree and paid a lot of money for it, still paying for it. But my first year, I showed up at that school, and the little kids, I started in second grade. I've taught third, fourth, fifth, sixth, but I'm back in second now. And I'll be honest with you. I almost didn't make it through my first year because the kids were so needy. And I pictured me going in there and teaching them to read and helping them with math. But what I really needed to do was be a parent to them, be the person in their life that stood up for them. And I was like, I don't need this shit. I don't want a bunch of 7-year-old kids calling me daddy and grandpa. And so I really struggled with it over the summer just because it was too much. It was too much. And so what I found was these kids have very little. And you know what? It's generalization, I guess. But in the school that I'm at, considering if it is a 2-parent home, you know, they're both working like crazy.
Sure.
These kids just weren't around men, and I became, and I am to this day, this surrogate father, and it's way too much responsibility. But
I don't even want that with my own kids. I don't want to look at me like that. All right, thanks, Joe. I got to take a break here. Because Sam Morrell and Joe Mackey are coming in a couple of moments. And before we do that, remember we were talking about betting. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to everybody about Boll and Branch.
Have you ever spent a night on 100% organic cotton sheets? If you have, you probably never slept better in your life. Boll and Branch makes the softest, most comfortable 100% organic cotton sheets you will ever sleep on.
Because they only sell them online at bollandbranch.com. Their sheets cost less than half of the designer brands and twice the quality. Hundreds of thousands of Americans love Boll and Branch sheets, including 3 U.S. presidents. You won't believe how comfortable 100% organic cotton sheets can feel until you try Boll and Branch.
But don't just take their word for it. You can sleep on Boll and Branch sheets risk-free for a month. If they're not the most comfortable you've ever slept on, send them back for a refund. Plus, if you order right now, you'll get $50 off your first set of sheets plus free shipping with bollandbranch.com promo code Bennington. It's spelled BOLL and branch.com promo code Bennington.
bollandbranch.com promo code Bennington.
Sam Morril and Joe Mack, you're in studio. Sam's performing at Bananas in New Jersey this Friday and Saturday. Comedy off Broadway.
That place is bananas too, man. Oh, it's something.
Comedy off Broadway in Lexington, Kentucky, April 19th to the 21st. And Governors on Long Island, April 27th to 28th. Go to sammorril.com for tickets. And Joe's performing at Wise Guys in Salt Lake City, April 12th to the 14th. WiseGuysComedy.com for tickets. And Yuck Yucks in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, April 20th and 21st. YuckYucks.com for tickets.
You know, I wouldn't expect a Wise Guys in Utah. You know what I mean?
These names are really depressing. Yeah. They really make you realize what a ruse of a career we have. You know, my favorite name for a comedy club is Magooby's Joke House. This is a real. I'll be there in like a few months.
I love that name. Is it a good club?
It is a really good club. I hear
a lot of people going there, but I just the
it's good.
Yeah, is there a Magooby?
Mr. Magooby?
Yes.
You must be Magooby. Well, I love the place. I love what you've done with it.
They have a bourbon bar connected to the thing, so it's like you feel a little guilty. You're like, what does this cost? You're like, man, fuck it, I'll do it.
Well, it's best if most of your fans are hammered. Well, Handsome Vault is back, everyone. And the combination is fun.
F-U-N. It's great to see you, my friend. You went out on the road and just stayed there, basically.
I did. The people want the vault.
Yeah.
I wish you would stay there longer.
Sam, I love how in the song you do a half hour of comedy. I don't even think you have that half hour. Rivers Cuomo really nailed you there.
Well, he's up for 45 minutes, but there's 30 minutes of comedy.
A lot of crowd work. Yeah. Where are you from?
Anyone have any birthdays? Okay, anyone have any birthdays this month?
That was the best. I saw a guy was hosting for me on my show once, and he was doing crowd work, and he said, anyone have any birthdays? And someone said, yeah, right here. And he goes, happy birthday. That was his big turn.
I don't like that.
They were expecting a joke. He was like, no, I got
happy
this.
Birthday, man. What are you, 52?
Life is getting sad.
It's horrible now, isn't it? You outlived your usefulness. Sam, you're Knicks. I mean, what are
they doing?
Yeah.
I know. You could tell they were tanking when they gave me a show.
Yeah. You could actually end up playing by the end of this season.
If Ron Baker can get a 2-year deal. No, he's great. I love Ron Baker. I don't know. It's bad, man. I don't know what to even say. They'll get a good pick again. They're rebuilding. Porzingis is out anyway. May as well lose, right?
Now, were the Sixers the first ones to set up the let's tank out the season?
They're talking. They're pretty open about it.
I think the Pittsburgh Pirates in baseball did. And I love my Pirates, but 22 years of losing records in a row.
Wow.
But they did it for no apparent reason.
No, they were trying their best. And sometimes I feel like the Knicks are trying too. They're just, they've got a lot of front office problems.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Scott Perry's good in the front office. It's just, it's tough. A lot of it's the quick fixes. And I think the Hardaway contract was a big, the Noah, the Hardaway, you give people 4-year deals and you pay them a lot. They better deliver. And Noah, it's like, I don't even think he got into a fight with a coach and now it's like he's away from the team. It's crazy.
It's crazy the deals they made. I mean, Starbury, Noah, Morril, just a lot of bad decisions over there.
You catch them all at the worst part of their career. You would have caught them earlier. It could have been great.
I've had 2 ACL tears, and no, they're really Porzingis. I was at the game when Porzingis went down, and that was like, that was the second worst Knicks game I've ever been to. The first being Ewing missing the finger roll against the Pacers, which was like brutal. Well, this took a sad turn. Sorry, guys.
No, I like losing, though. I mean, the Pirates, to me, are one of the great organizations. When you say Pittsburgh Pirates, it's like saying Brooklyn Dodgers. It goes back. You know what I mean? And it's the alliteration.
And they're 3-0 this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
they're on their way back.
The dream of the 162-0 season is still alive for the Pirates.
Well, they also have one of the, the Roberto Clemente thing is one of the saddest things that's ever happened in baseball history.
Yeah. I mean, when you die trying to deliver supplies to earthquake victims, people really feel bad about that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just die a regular death.
Yeah.
People don't really care. It's been my experience. No one cares when people die.
I thought there was going to be a burn on me. He was taking so long. When you die delivering a joke.
Well, you wouldn't know about long doing your 30-minute headlining set.
That's going to come back to haunt me, that song.
We got Vito, we need some updates on this song. I hate to bring you in and remind you what your job is, but you're not just a guy in the other room. You're the producer of the show.
Also, he said hotter than a young Ben Affleck. That's so timely with that back tattoo.
Yes, it's just
that's a bad look.
We both have giant back tattoos.
Although Mackie says enter here with an arrow.
Joe, are you still very much in love? Is it still happening?
I still have a lady friend. Yes, I do. I'll tell you what. Once they get their talons into you, you can't get them out. Women have talons. That's a fact.
And they also have to be trained properly.
They do.
I always say wear a glove. Wear a big leather glove no matter what happens.
But we will retrieve a squirrel for you, a dead squirrel for you.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice gift.
Yeah, it is.
You get a nice Easter squirrel.
I always think it's funny when a dog brings something dead back to you, like thinking that you're going to love it.
Yeah. Do you love it?
He's sharing food.
Yeah, but no other food. I never see him bring back a sandwich.
No. My dog sits there and she looks at me longingly everything I'm eating all the time. And then when I give her something, a treat, it's like it's prison rules. She runs in and I'm like, I handed that to you. But she immediately protects what she's eating.
By the way,
you never think to ask me if I want to bite.
You know who eats like that? Jimmy Schubert, because he had 5 brothers. So he's always crouched over his food. I go real fast so someone doesn't grab a piece of ham off.
And when you're eating, he looks sad.
Dude, I met Jimmy Schubert years ago at Gilda's Fest, and it was one of the worst days of my travel days ever. I did the stupid thing where you do connect flights on different airlines. It was on a website. It's real called Cheapo Air, and I missed. And neither airline's accountable. I missed my connection, so I had to spend $580 for a flight. I get there. I'm in a horrible mood.
Where'd you get that flight? At Expensivo Air?
So I end up having a mediocre set, and Jimmy Schubert destroys. And we go out after, and he's one of those dudes I immediately love because he was so all over the place.
Yeah.
He was I just had a breakup, I loved her. A minute later, he's like, that bitch. And then another hour went by, he's like, she was the love of my life, I tell you.
It's like watching a Christopher Nolan movie and trying to get the volume right. It's like super loud and then super quiet, super quiet.
Well, I was just with Tracy Morgan before you guys, so he expects you to know everything about his life as well as he does. So in the middle of something, he'll just yell, Jimmy Mack is gone. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, from your accident. I know. But he just thinks everybody knows. Martin Lawrence is a saint. Why? Oh, because he was nice to you.
One time I saw him leaving he's walking into the cellar, and Louis was walking out, and he said, he's like, I hope you left some stank in that room for me. And Louis like, I left you a lot of stank. I love how he talks. Sometimes you don't even know it. One time I was in behind him at a Knicks game, and he just keeps turning around, and some of the shit he said made no sense.
Right.
But you just with him, you just have to nod and pretend it makes sense. Michael Beasley was having a great game, and he just kept turning to everyone and going, real animals eat meat. We're like, yes, they do. Sure.
Yes, that is true.
Carnivores, at least.
Yeah.
Sam Rell and Joe Mack here in studio. Their podcast, Keeping Joe, is available now on Apple Podcasts and Riotcast.com. And Sam's performing at Bananas in New Jersey this Friday and Saturday, samrell.com for tickets. And Joe's performing at Wise Guys in Salt Lake City, April 12th through the 14th, wiseguyscomedy.com for tickets.
By the way, how many Knicks games a year do you go to?
I went to like 4 this year. I didn't go to
that's
many.
all?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were way more than that.
I can't buy tickets anymore because I was like, I feel weird buying shitty seats and then having my show there.
Right, that's true.
So when the show's canceled, I'll buy, which is probably any day now. So I'll buy seats.
Well, don't worry, no one will recognize you.
One time we bought nosebleed seats years ago, and Artie Lang came with us. It was like me, Chris DiStefano, Mike Racine, a bunch of comics. Artie Lang comes with us. And everyone was more worried about him that he was sitting in like the 400s than his heroin problem. You know, They were like, "Are you okay?"
I know, isn't it odd the way that people feel like if they see you, you're the ones should be embarrassed, but they're up there too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're hanging off the same rafters. Now, do you do any? Do you get back to Pittsburgh every year to see games?
Oh yeah, I go to see a couple of Buccos games every year.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people are criticizing Pittsburgh for our strategy of giving away Andrew McCutcheon and Garrett Cole for no good players that are on the horizon, but I think that's just a trap.
Yeah,
you think something's really easy and bad, and then you walk in and there's a trap door, and maybe that's what we did with PNC Park.
Sure.
Well, it's like Bill Simmons. Remember that Ewing theory where the Knicks went to the finals once Ewing went down. So as long as you lose your star, people just play better. It's weird. They rally together.
I think though, out of all the sports, baseball is the easiest to watch a bad team. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like other sports, but baseball, at least you're outside.
Yeah.
It's nice
I was going to say, if you're there, absolutely.
Yeah. You're at the game. Not watching on TV is a rough one.
Yeah.
You know?
But if you're present, it is just like, you feel like you're just having a nice day.
You are
out.
at a park.
Yeah.
Baseball, you can make dumb comments during the game, and it's so slow paced that no one gets mad at you. I'm like, you think you're ever get rid of that 3 outs rule? And no one gets mad. But like, when I'm in a basketball game and I start counting the shot clock down at 20, I'm like, 20! 19, 18. People are getting really upset all over the place.
I want to be at both games with you now. I used to go to a lot of spring training games, and we would do a lot of positive heckling, and I would find out like who was coaching first base, and I would stand up and announce that they were the leader of all time doubles in the Carolina League, and the whole place would go crazy for them, and they would be forced to tip their hat because you don't give a shit. It's spring training. But yeah.
And these are the guys that are trying to not have to have a real job.
Yes.
Like I'm rooting hardest for them.
Yeah.
It's tough because you can't talk. I feel like growing up, going to the ballpark, you could it feels like it was so more politically incorrect and you could say anything.
Right.
And now it feels like a family game.
Yeah.
You know, like I was at a game, my friend was telling me about a one night stand, like in detail. And there's we just realized there's a mother and a little boy next to us. And he's like, and then I started fucking her. And the turn is the guy was me. It wasn't my friend saying that.
Well, when they stopped you from smoking at games, when they say you couldn't smoke anymore, it suddenly did turn into a different thing. It was a place to bring children and stuff. But if you look back at like the Yankees 1960s against the Pirates, it was just men there. Just men. Yeah. There wasn't, no one thought, oh, maybe my daughter would enjoy the game. You know what I mean? It didn't happen that way.
It was a less considerate time.
Yeah, it was just men and kids. And if there were kids there, I guess you shut up and you were happy to be there. You didn't need a water slide and a giant ice cream. And
well, I used to watch a game with my dad. And he goes like, okay, he's at first base. What happens if I can hit to third? What happens if it goes to the outfield? So I had to stay on my fucking toes all the time. And now it's like, how do you keep the kid happy?
Now the kids are idiots about baseball. They're like, hit a home run. I'm like, you idiot. Of course he wants to do that.
Did you ever see the baseball best bad baseball movie ever is The Fan with Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes? There's a scene where he's at the game with his son and he's at like split custody because he's a shitty dad. So he's at the game and the bases are loaded and the kid's like, hit a grand slam. He's like, no, you're selfish. All you need is a sac fly. It's such a dark movie.
Yeah, it is. It is an ugly fucking dark movie. And I remember John Kruk said that he saw a book in the dugout. He knew it was fake. He's like, no one would ever fucking read anything in a dugout. What's your favorite baseball movie of all time?
It's tough, man. There's so many good baseball movies.
Yeah.
Any Kevin Costner baseball movie is pretty good.
Except for the third one.
Which,
Love the Game?
was
Yeah,
not
that
good.
one is a little...
Although it's got a Greer Barnes cameo.
Greer it does.
But yeah,
Greer
you're right. That's
Barnes,
not
I
a good
can't
one.
follow
Bull
that
Durham's got great. It's got
Bull
great.
Durham, I think, is maybe the best.
That's amazing dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean, that one speech is so good.
Yeah.
And it's got a young Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon. It's a good movie.
And I like, like the female relationship
The
in
baseball
that.
Annie.
Yeah.
She's a baseball
I
Annie.
love it.
She
it's so
brings
great.
something to the park, and she is a true fan. I mean, she's just like,
Right,
it's
she's
good
not
to be
like-
at the park.
Yeah.
She believes in the Church of Baseball.
She fucked the minor leaguers.
Yes.
That's
to
a
help-
real fan.
Yeah.
That is, but, I was at a minor league game in the Carolinas last year. Might have been single or double A. Tops. Beautiful young girls everywhere. Look at, you know what I mean? Just, they know if I catch one of these guys and he's the right guy, I'm going to ride it up. But I was like, I think we probably brought in every attractive woman within 110 miles for this game. And I saw good baseball down there too. There was a kid throwing over 100 miles an hour. It was a fun day.
Wow.
Did you guys see the college one? Everybody wants some. That a couple Richard Linklater.
No, I hear
did
it's great.
Yeah,
Joe
it was-
List raved about it to me. I didn't see it.
See, Joe List go to for movies still. He's got
Yeah.
a good, decent taste in movies.
Ever since he became sober, he needed something to hang on to.
Right.
And movies are good for that.
Yeah.
Because you just go. It's a good distraction on the road.
Yeah.
He's a doer, Joe.
Yeah, he is a doer. He gets out there and gets things done. All right, let's go best basketball movie of all time.
Do I sound racist if I say Hoosiers?
Yes, that is kind of racist. Although, if you don't choke up during Hoosiers, there's
No, it's
something wrong
incredible.
with
Dude,
you. Yeah.
hot young Barbara Hershey, too.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman. Amazing.
Barbara Hershey, I'd go to that factory. I'd get some kisses from her.
Yeah. Okay, we got it. We know where you're going, Joe. Vito, what about
I
for
still
your
don't
best?
get it.
Neither do I. That Barbara Hershey is really.
Some of those kisses would have nuts in them, right? Vito, what's the best basketball movie of all time?
He got game.
Oh,
He
it's
got
a great,
game.
that's a great,
Yeah.
Great movie.
My mom
Jesus.
covered my eyes in the movie theater with
Yeah.
those nude scenes.
Yeah.
I love it. Rick Fox plays a womanizer. How did he prepare for that role?
Yeah, right.
That must have been a real stretch.
Chris, we keeping you from plugging?
Oh, no. Sam Morril and Joe
Plug
Mack
away,
here in
brother.
the studio. Sam Morril is performing at Bananas, New Jersey, this Friday and Saturday. Comedy Off Broadway in Lexington, Kentucky, April 19th through the 21st. And Governors on Long Island, April 27th and 28th. SamMorril.com for tickets. And Joe Mack is performing at Wise Guys in Salt Lake City, April 12th to the 14th. WiseGuysComedy.com for tickets. And he's performing at Yuck Yucks in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, April 20th and 21st. YuckYucks.com for tickets.
I'm going to actually ask this because who do you think gets the hotter wives and girlfriends, baseball or basketball? You're fans of both.
I think basketball players get the most ass of like any athlete.
They have the best lifestyle, I believe, of any other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, except for the fact that these guys get injured now in a way like they didn't used to cut the way they cut now to the
Right.
basket. Now it's like they're all tearing Achilles and ACLs. It seems like it's. I mean, that's got to be demoralizing emotionally. Like I have to stop doing stand up for a week. I'm upset. You know, but these guys, they have to stop what they love for like a year.
Man, some of these. I saw the high school basketball over the weekend, and there was slam dunk contest. A high school kid does a cartwheel into a backflip and then dunks. I said he could have won the NBA this year. These kids are unbelievable at such a young age.
Yeah, though, you know what I would like in that too sometimes? That they're like amazing at dunking, but a lot of times they're not good players. It's like being like a great roast battle comic, but like you can't do stand up.
All right. So you're saying they're like the Louis J. Gomez's of comedy.
No, but you see some, not Lewis, but there's like some comics you see they're like 2 years in and they're
Yeah.
great at like, they write like the most vicious one liner about someone else you ever heard, but they can't write about themselves. That's sometimes I see these young dunkers. I'm like, yeah, but you got to get a jump shot. You got to learn to handle the ball. You got to pass. You got to play defense. There's other shit.
Well, you're old school.
You don't
You're
want to
old
get
school.
You don't want to get fouled doing the cartwheel either. That's gonna hurt in game.
Yeah.
But plus baseball players, they got the 162 game season.
Yeah.
So they've got, they have the uglier wives, but they've got more wives.
Yes, I know they have. Because you can't possibly keep anyone happy on the road that much. You guys know that from your own lives.
It's also, too, it's like you away so long, it's like probably harder to cheat.
Well, you know
so many games.
Yeah, but see, here's what it used to be, is a guy would have a girlfriend in every town, right? And now, because of social media, you can't do that because your wife will end up seeing pictures with you with your Kansas City girl.
Who is she? I call her Tampa.
Yeah. I used to I used to know the 93 Phil's pretty good, right? And I would, when they gave me tickets, I would sit with the wives, and the wives used to look into the dugout. And by the way, these are beautiful women, and see where their husband's eye was. Wow. And they would look to see if he was looking at a girl in the stands, because sometimes they would put their girlfriends on the other side.
That's going to be on a different section.
This is so exciting. I can't even follow the game. You know what I mean? I'm really wondering if I bust it.
That's when like Kruk and Dykstra got those big wraparound shades.
I'll say this though. Kruk was just looking to see who was selling hot dogs. No one had to worry.
Man, that was like such a specific look. That was of that very specific time.
Yeah. The only guy who's still doing it is fucking Flavortown.
Yeah.
He's the only guy that still has those wraparound shades.
I love those.
Yeah.
I love those. You know, it's like Artie Fuqua at the Comedy Cellar. He'd have like a woman upstairs at the Fat Black Pussycat. There'd be a woman downstairs at the Village Underground. It'd be like a sitcom. He'd be like, what?
Yeah. And how does that make life more enjoyable? That you found you're in this crazy play.
Yeah, we think it's like fun for him. It's got to be miserable.
Yeah. The only time he's happy is when he's running up the steps in between the two of them. Oh, here's a moment for myself. I'm not trying to please someone.
Yeah, we think he's doing so much time because he likes stand-up. He's just trying to get away from these people.
All right, Chris, we didn't get you a baseball and basketball movie.
Baseball, Field of Dreams. Basketball, Blue Chips.
No, well, that's a funny one. And remember, both guys ended up playing in Orlando. They ended up for the Magic, and somehow that team never won a championship.
Well, Shaq was young. Akeem took it to him. Yeah, you know. But then Shaq was injured for a little while, and then Penny got injured, and then
no one fell faster than Penny.
He
kept playing after
people forget
injury.
how great he was.
Scott Skiles, man, that guy could.
Scotty Skiles was a big deal with that.
Didn't he have a 30-assist game? I think?
Yeah, he was.
Scott Skiles is a nice little.
Yeah, but it is funny when people get like a certain amount of fame, and then they keep playing beyond it. You know what I mean? Like that's gotta be. But you look at that, and they're still getting like $15-18 million a year. What would you do? Go home with your pride, or ride some pine with that kind of money?
I don't know, Joakim Noah. Are you listening to this? It's it's funny. It's like they become names, you know, like Derrick Rose.
Yeah,
like he's kind of a shell of what he was.
I know,
but that's what I was saying about those guys who just cut. It's not. You see that and it's exciting, but you're like, that's not going to age well.
Yeah, no, you're right. So you literally take it back to, because there are guys that go to the basket now so fast
and so hard
that it's stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not when I'm on the court.
No.
But before the game starts, I point to the paint and I say, "This is my territory, and I will defend it."
That's cool.
That's true. I don't get in the paint with him. I play an outside game when I know he's
better,
on the other team.
Better be able to knock down some threes.
Yeah.
He's a chase down artist.
Oh yeah. I stay away from the boards. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play that way. I got my health to worry about.
Mackie used to be able to dunk.
Yeah, I got some hops.
Yeah.
This guy can move. This guy can move. And don't leave me open from 3-point range.
Yeah.
Because it's rude not to cover all the players. It hurts their feelings.
It's rude. There's someone out here just get a hand in my face.
Hey, you're covering the other guys. Why are you covering me? I notice when I play around here, people get mad when I call fouls.
Yeah.
And they get really mad when I call 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm in the hood. I'm like, illegal defense. I'll be taking that.
Double dribble.
I get the free throw, too.
Yeah.
I call technicals.
I know when we would travel in my neighborhood, for some reason we used to call it discontinue, because somebody would pause and then go back in, and for some reason we would call it a discontinue.
Because you plan.
No idea. Because some older kid said it first, and we called it that forever.
Was it more like a carry?
Yeah, it was like a carry. And that was always the discount, because a carry is not an official term, right?
No, but it's technically legal now in the NBA because they never call it.
Yeah, it's amazing when you see somebody take 5-6 steps now.
Dude, when I remember being a kid and our coach, our gym coach, really trying to teach us the fundamentals of basketball, and it was just really frustrating because we couldn't get beyond trampoline.
Right.
So, and he would call it every time. We're like, we can't get anything going. I mean, do you want us to try, or what's up? Because this is impossible. We're little kids. We can't fucking run and dribble at the same time. It seems crazy to us.
But see, I think that's something that happened that you would never need coaching to teach that. You would teach better fundamentals. But when I was coaching like 10-year-olds in baseball, I couldn't believe how many kids hadn't played baseball before they signed up for a team. Yeah. That was like the last thing that we did was go to Little League. We'd played sandlot ball for so long, and I had kids that didn't know how to hold a bat.
Yeah, that was like learning baseball.
I think it's because they're not allowed outside just to play. You know what I mean? And you end up playing basketball with older kids who are slapping the ball back at you or making you leave once they come to the court. So by the time, you're trying out for a basketball team, he's like, look, now it's time for fundamentals. Now it's time to play. You know what I mean? But not try to teach a kid how to shoot or hold a ball.
Yeah.
Or catch. Catching is hard.
Catching is real. To catch a ball off a bat takes years. And there's no reason to show up when you're 10 and 11 and go, how do you play this game? What happens here?
They used to be tougher. Like I remember my parents sent me to this like weekend thing where we played, and the coach, we were probably 10 years old, and the coach, he was pitching, and he saw me spacing out at shortstop.
Yeah.
So he just took the hard ball and just threw it at my face, drills me in the nose. I'm unconscious for like 10 minutes. I wake up covered in blood.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You gonna space out again?" I was like, "No."
No.
And I didn't.
No, you
could have knocked out my teeth.
That guy would probably be in jail for throwing a ball
Definitely.
at a kid to wake him up. But there was nothing funnier to me than to see a kid not paying attention when a ball was heading towards you.
Oh, it's
In the outfield?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
one of the best moments of my life, my buddy Rap, he had flip-up glasses, and he came in late to the game, and the ball gets fucking shelled. And we all turn and watch, and he's just looking off somewhere. And everyone's yelling his name, and as the ball's going over his head, he's dropping the glasses back down. We were laying on the fucking ground. I mean, I picture every moment of that. People think that you only remember when you win or did something great, but the other shit is hilarious.
It is like the kid who's picking the dirt in right field.
Yeah.
That was my favorite kid.
Yeah.
You go in right field just picking dirt.
Yeah.
A line drive goes right by me. Like, oh well.
My dad said this would build character.
I always like, there's one of those guys who will learn how to keep score. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that you're constantly screaming at him that everything's a hit. Every area you got on, that's a fucking hit. You're yelling from second base. Did you put that down as a hit?
The best part of baseball, too, is when you hit to third base, and if ever I was playing third base, I wasn't an accurate thrower.
Yeah.
You can throw the ball so far past the first baseman, and he has to run after that ball.
Yeah. It's
That
hilarious.
head case shortstop you always get. The guy who just throws in the dirt. You're like, I can't get that.
Scoop it. You got to scoop it.
You know what I always think about as a kid is I remember the false confidence I always had stepping up to a plate. It's probably because my brother was like pretty good at cracking a ball really young.
Yeah.
And so I just thought like, yeah, just like anytime I would have to do it, I'd be like, this is going to be easy. And I kind of think I would still have it. Like if I went to batting cages right now, I'd be like, I'm definitely going to get a hold a couple of these. And I would just like not be able to at all.
If you look confident on at the plate, like that's half the battle. Because sometimes I even see Major League Baseball pitchers go up and they're standing straight up and down. They're not even bending their knees, and they have the bat on their shoulder. Like, are you even trying? Like,
well, this is what kills me. You know, when you're younger, normally the pitcher's the best hitter on the team.
Right.
This is an athlete. Well, how did they lose that?
Well,
How
they're
are you
not working at. They're probably just not working at like the other guys. You know, like although one of the greatest moments was that Bartolo Colon home run.
Yeah,
that was hilarious. If you see a fat dude just blast a home run, you're like, you know that pitcher's like, fuck.
Yeah, right.
He inspired a nation.
Fat kids all over the nation.
But he's like a dude that just could never really hit. But then you're like, even think about it, you're like, yeah, that guy when he was 11 was the best hitter.
He was the best. Yeah, that guy. Normally you pitch and bat cleanup. You know, and then they're also, when they're going like, oh, can you believe this athlete's good at 2 sports? Yes, because he's an athlete. You know what I mean? You could take anybody in the NBA, probably teach him to be a fucking receiver in football.
They said Iverson could have gone pro in baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Romo could play football and finish last in a PGA Tour event. That's pretty impressive.
And bore the shit out of me when he was calling the game.
I kind of like him. You don't like him?
I don't even know he's there.
Oh,
honestly.
I kind of like him.
I don't want 2 out of the 3 big games to be called by old fucking cowboy QBs. That's hell for me.
Well, Aikman's taken a few too many hits to the head.
Yeah.
He's calling it in every few minutes. I'm like, that did not make sense, what he just said.
He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's at the 10. He's tackled to the 18-yard line.
As long as it's not Dennis Miller, I'm okay.
No, Bips. Like Pericles.
I like to remind people how smart I am at football games by putting in classical references they don't understand.
Sam Morril and Joe Mack, you're in studio. Their podcast, Keeping Joe, is available on Apple Podcasts and Riotcast.com. And Joe's performing at Wise Guys in Salt Lake City, April 12th to the 14th. WiseGuysComedy.com for tickets. And he's performing at Yuck Yucks in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, April 20th and 21st. YuckYucks.com for tickets. And Sam's performing at Bananas in New Jersey this Friday and Saturday. And Comedy Off Broadway in Lexington, Kentucky, April 19th to the 21st.
Way off Broadway. Lexington.
SamMorril.com for tickets.
All right, we did all the other sports. Best football movie, which is much more difficult to do.
I'm trying to think what's a good football. I mean, I'm in the minority. There's parts of Any Given Sunday. It's so cheesy that I kind of loved it.
Yeah.
When Pacino's giving that speech, like, I made every wrong choice a middle-aged man could make. You know, there was something about that was so damn funny to me.
That's about as far away from the sport as you could possibly get, though. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. And because the same director, Oliver Stone, did something called talk radio.
Yeah.
And I said, I've had all the calls, but not on one show. The way this guy, like every
Bogosian,
call was
right?
up. It was just unbelievable what he's dealing with. You know, is this a boxing match or a fucking radio show? Mine is North Dallas 40 that came out
Never saw
in
it.
the 70s. Nick Nolte, who also wanted to play the natural. Nick Nolte fought to try to be the natural, and which is, I don't know if it's the best baseball movie, but it's the best baseball soundtrack.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
it's hard to picture Nick Nolte ever being young.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well,
like you look at him now, you're like, Jesus, that guy was under 40.
He plays old so well. But Rich Man, Poor Man, Tracy Morgan just brought up today, and I was laughing because that was like the first miniseries, and I was like in 77 or 78, and he's like, everybody remembers Rich Man, Poor Man. I looked around the room, and I'm like, no, just me, Tracy.
Tracy will say something where you're like, 9 things he says in a row don't make sense, and then a 10th is like the most brilliant thing you've ever heard.
Yeah,
Remember we were talking about the cellar, and he would just say like things that didn't make sense, and then he'd be like, comics from LA are shittier because they don't get up as much as you. And Mackie's like, well, that is true.
You just keep saying things.
Yeah.
Eventually, some of the things are going to be great. Speaking of which, top movies.
Yeah.
Football, I'm going Necessary Roughness, Scott Bakula.
Oh.
Baseball, I'm going Major League 3, Back to the Minors, Scott Bakula. Yes.
And a young Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
Downtown Anderson, baby.
Basketball, Hoop Dreams.
Yeah.
Because we've all had dreams we didn't realize.
That's a great movie.
That was a great movie.
Like comedy.
Well, that's more of like Sam's career is more like a nightmare.
Chris, you really wrapping us up?
Yeah, we're wrapping up soon. Yeah.
Why?
Because of breaks.
Well, look, that was really blunt and actually true. You don't have to do that in radio. But here's the thing with Tracy. We did it in front of an audience, and I could see the audience. They fucking cried the whole time. They were so I would hear him talking crazy, but he's so emotional that the audience is like wiping.
Not one,
tears
not
out.
two people, like a lot of people
Like
crying
at least
in the audience.
half the audience. And it's not like they got misty at one point.
No,
they
like
stayed
sniffling
crying.
and like wiping tears away.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because he has no problem bringing up death at any given moment at all. Yeah.
He's been through some shit.
He has been, and luckily came out with it like with as much money as if he had a startup. You know what I mean? There are plenty of people who come up with great apps that don't have Tracy
Bill
Morgan
Gates
money.
called him, said he took a shortcut. It's so crazy how much they got.
Yeah.
Artie Fuqua were like, yeah, you look like Arthur every time he goes on stage now.
Artie, all his money is going into his clothes, isn't it? It's just 100%. Like his shoes cost more than everybody else's clothes in the room.
I was talking to a comic. We hadn't seen him after the crash. We were all like, we hope he's okay. And I remember the first thing I said was like, we were sitting on the steps. I said, I hope he didn't waste his money on stupid stuff. Literally 2 minutes later, Artie rolls up in a giant red Hummer. It's like, well, that's that.
Yeah.
What if GM took a military vehicle, made it worse, and sold it to the public? Hummer, GM bankrupt.
One of the radio stations I worked for, we had a Hummer that we would send out to the concerts and shit, and constantly the battery was dead. The thing just eats up battery the whole time that it's out there. You also don't want a car that takes 1 1/3 lane. You know what I mean? You're always in this situation when you're in that car.
Gallons to the mile.
It really had a moment, though. Remember, like a couple of years ago, a few years ago, people were like, you see a lot of them.
Well, when Arnold Schwarzenegger got one, then the rest of the world, you know what I mean? Every guy was like, look, I got a little money. I'll get a Hummer for myself. And people will think I have a giant, thick cock. That's all it is. A car is a reflection of your penis.
The girthiest vehicle on the road.
I just got the T-shirt that says that. It's way cheaper than the Hummer.
Yeah. All right. Always great to see you guys.
Thanks for having us. It was a blast.
Always the best, just the two funniest. And you were easy on each other today.
We
know
were.
what I mean? It was nice.
I think life will do to Sam what my words can't.
That's true. That's true.
Sam Morril and Joe Mackey have been in studio. Sam's performing at Bananas in New Jersey this Friday and Saturday. Comedy Off Broadway in Lexington, Kentucky, April 19th through the 21st. And Governors on Long Island, April 27th and 28th. SamMorril.com for tickets to all those dates. And Joe Mackey's performing at Wise Guys in Salt Lake City, April 12th through the 14th.
Wise Guys.
WiseGuysComedy.com for tickets. And he's performing at Yuck Yucks in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, April 20th and 21st. YuckYucks.com for tickets. And their podcast, Keeping Joe, is available now on Apple Podcasts and Riotcast.com.
All right, that's it for us, guys. See you again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!